boy. All right, man. Lord, it took a minute. I was trying to get a lot of information. Oh, man. Hopefully my computer, matter of fact, let me just look like I'm glitching already. Peace, whoever that's coming here. Please share that I'm on real quick. All right, let me X that out. Okay, I got that right. Okay, X that out. All right, we're gonna wait for some of y'all to get in here, man. Peace to everybody. What's going on? Cheryl, please do me a favor and share that I'm on. All right. So we're gonna look at a lot of videos, but the main video we're gonna go over right now is the Dr. Umar. He did a great job. He did a masterful job. But I want to set this off with this first because there's other people who was murdered, right? So we have a girl she was shot in the park. I forgot her name, but I'm gonna pull up a video and they have all their names. This was July 20th. No arrests. Again, I did the video with the female that's in Tasia Fortune, that was in Mississippi, that was hung so high in a tree. Now there is a picture of a potential guy he's already arrested that could have been the person who hung Tasia behind that vacant building in Mississippi. And like I said before, it could have been somebody that was black that did it. But I wouldn't put it past any white person as well, too. Like, it seemed like I'm glitching right now. Is my audio good, everybody? Is my audio good? Am I glitching a little bit? Please do me a favor and just share, man. I will gladly appreciate it and hit that like button. Matter of fact, let's get right to it. I'm not even going to hold y'all up. Let's get right to it because I got a lot of shit to show y'all. And I got audio of, damn, what the brother name is. Let me just play it. Let me play this for y'all. Hold on, I got a lot of where we at? Hold on, I'm sorry, everybody. I have so many videos down here. This is it?
Right away.
Nope, that's not it. Hold on, I'm sorry. Hold on. God damn. Page. Oh, right here. Lord have mercy. I got so many windows, but let me play this first, right? Let's play this. Please share. Please share. Please share.
Protecting black people.
Let's just check this one out.
Hey, white people, when are we going to start protecting black people? I'm being so serious because that's the 5th lynching in 2 months that they've called no foul play. Tasia was hung up so high that they needed a fire truck to get her down. And they're saying no foul play. I can't be crying. Gerard was hung behind a police station. No foul play. Tanya hung at a park. No foul play. Juliana hung at a church. No foul play. Soraya hung behind a Dollar Tree. No foul play. Nolan Wells, no foul play. Trey Reed, no foul play. Kyle Basinga, no foul play. Do you know a lot of black people that love playing with knots?
Huh.
I mean, so do you know black people that fucking play with ropes and climb trees? We're going to need to start getting violent for our black brothers and sisters. And I mean like really violent. Like I'm not talking about just like, where are you? Tasia's body is going to the same medical examiner that Nolan Wells' family is still fighting, that Trey Reed's family is still fighting. It's a system designed to bury these kids while it makes their families, go to these trials that aren't even real. While it lets people like Jesse, a kid who raped 2 girls, he broke one of their necks. His mom heard them in the room, and he didn't spend 1 day in jail. He's going to LSU. Nothing happened to him. It's just like Bart. His dad's like a football guy. They're rich as hell.
But ain't that
2
crazy?
girls, he broke one of their necks. His mom heard them.
Ain't that crazy with this case? This dude, he just got off, and this dude damn near broke the girl's neck while strangling her. They see the video, and the judge made it look like this kid went through so much. He went through trauma, not even the victims, the girls that he raped and damn near broke the neck. It got a pat on the back, and then I'm pretty sure y'all seen the video when the police went to go arrest this kid. They were so nice and polite. Well, we're gonna arrest you now, and the mother's like, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna bail you out. Just turn yourself in. Everything's gonna be fine. Like this is another day in the neighborhood type shit. This is just another ordinary day. I don't even know the kid name. I really don't care to know his name. But just an ordinary day, like this is normal. They know his son is like that. You understand? Let's continue, man.
In the room, and he didn't spend one day in jail. He's going to LSU. Nothing happened to him. It's just like Bart. His dad's like a football guy. They're rich as hell. And did you know that Nolan Wells' best friends, obviously the ones who killed him, are using Trump's defense attorney? I mean, for a drowning, right? Because they're withholding and that's why they were withholding the information in the autopsy, giving them enough time to go through all this and let them know what they had on them so they could prepare. Do you understand that this is a thing that the South does over and over and over again at this point? I'm just begging white people at this point because I don't even know what else. I don't know what else to do. They need a race war before they need a world war. That's how this works. They need a reaction, but it has to be from us. It has to be from us this time, okay? They just showed us. They're showing us the nastiest shit we've ever seen. They showed us 3 teenage girls that just invited another teenage girl over who had epilepsy, who was pregnant, and they drugged her, and then they planned on murdering her and then burying her. But if she could defend herself like Carmelo Anthony, they wouldn't start that trial until there was an all-white jury. There'd be no justice. And if she can't defend herself, they're going to treat her like Cyrus Carmack Belton, and then Rick Child's just going to get to walk. The good old days are not coming back. Okay,
I seen it.
We will make sure of it. I just need to know who my allies are. I need to know where y'all are.
All right, let's get off that. Let me play an audio.
I'm being so serious because that's the 5th lynching in 2 months that they've called.
There's so much that I'm gonna show you on here. Matter of fact,
she was gonna come over by the alcohol.
Take my fronts out. These are the girls who made a video. The ones that jumped Audrey, that got her drunk. All of the pressure, they came out and did a TikTok live last night. So I'm gonna play this, get this out the way. There's so many videos. That's what took me so long because I try to get as much videos as much as possible. So I got a lot of shit. And then we're gonna get to the to Dr. Umar and all that. And I think I might play the whole thing because he done a masterful job. So, and I have some other videos to insert during this live. But here's these females right here. And I'm gonna do some separate videos on this as well, too. But this is their explanation on why the video went viral and what actually happened to their perspective.
So she was gonna come over by the alcohol, and we all started partying or whatever, having a great time. We were playing, what is that game called with the ball?
The little beer pong. It was like mini beer pong.
We were all playing beer pong, taking our little shots or whatever. Audrey is overly taking.
I'm not gonna do a lot of interjecting. So, but only thing I'm asking y'all, just do me a solid. Please share that I'm on. Please hit the likes. Please share. Please share. All right, I'm gonna bring it back and I'm gonna let shit rock out. All right, let's go.
Over by the alcohol, and we all started partying or whatever, having a great time. We were playing, what is that game called with the ball?
The little beer pong. It was like mini beer pong.
We were all playing beer pong, taking our little shots or whatever. Audrey is overly taking these shots. I mean, overly. She just cup after cup after cup. So she's like real drunk first, right? Thank you for the heart, me. I can't take that serious. Stop sending me gifts. But so she was drunk. She fell asleep on the couch at first. So we're all just hanging out. But we all wanted to go outside. So she got up. We all walk outside. She walked down the stairs, went outside. Everybody there was smoking a little thing. She passed out. So, yes, we carried her. It was hard to carry her, so we kind of like dragged her back inside.
That's what she was saying. Like she had rug burn and all that shit.
I'm pretty sure y'all seen the video. I can't play. I got the video as well. They dragged her up the steps, but they was taunting her while they was doing it. So it wasn't like they trying to just, you know what I mean? They trying to pass this shit up. But anyway.
She's a big girl.
Like, she's a big ass girl. It took four of us, like, to get her back inside. Like, we weren't, like, if we were such bad people, I would have left that girl outside, mind you. And it was raining that night. I would have left that girl outside. Cold as fuck.
In November.
Right. It would have been like, bro, if we did not care, we would have left that girl outside. And, like, the fact y'all are saying, oh, she was kidnapped. Bro, we were literally outside in the public, in my apartment complex, where she could have, like, ran if she felt unsafe. All this. Crazy. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know. That's my side of the story. That's what I'm saying.
Well, then we got back inside, and she was like, we brought her inside. She was out of it, obviously, like, wasn't really able to do nothing. So we gave her some cold water, put some cold water on her, made her like sober up, and then like we were just chilling for a while. We were just chilling, like listening to music,
Yeah.
all that, blah, blah, blah. I think I was still playing the beer pong or whatever. And then
Yeah, no, 'cause after I put her in the shower, she got a little sober, so we all started playing beer pong again.
and then she tried to like play fight with me, and we were like, all right, let's go outside, because like she was trying to fight me and stuff, And then she was like, no, she didn't want to. And then we like, I don't even remember. We made it into the back bedroom or whatever, and she started like punching me like hard. And like we said, she's a big girl.
Scratching.
Right, I had like marks on my neck from like her trying to hit me and stuff. And then
her big ass handprint on the side of your cheek.
Yo,
bro, oh my God.
Bro, that's crazy.
Okay.
Like I barely remember. I only remember really the sober parts, but I just know my intentions weren't to harm or kill her, as people are saying. Should I pull up that picture of me and you with the marks on our face or no?
Just hold on, post it on your story like after we get off.
I'm gonna put the whole video up later. But you see how this shit right here. This is why you have to continue to teach your kids, man, to stay away from them. I mean, be cool. I'm not saying don't be cool, no nothing. Just don't hang out like that. You dig what I'm saying? Just don't go hang out and be by yourself with them, man. Listen, we got a long way to go. Now we already know. Okay, let me put this on what's in real quick. And it seems like my shit is glitching a little bit right now. Let's go to hold on. All right, now we're gonna go to Dr. Umar. There's so much that I want to play for y'all, which I am, right? Where we at? Okay. Now check it out. Now we know that what's his name? We have Tyler Cox and we have Edward Palax, however you want to pronounce his name. He's Trump's attorney. We know that they raised over 100-something thousand. I think it's like over 160,000 now for a legal team. So does that mean that, they know something that we don't know, or that they know that there's a charge that's going to, you know what I mean? That they going to get locked up, that there is going to be a case on them? Why would y'all raise that money for what? If y'all not guilty, you know what I mean? But listen, we have a long way to go. Everything that has been updated that's out right now, I'm going to play. I already have everything lined up for everybody. Just please be patient. I got y'all. All right. That's what took my ass so long enough to get on. Let's get right to it. Fair use. Salute to all the dialogue. You're doing your thing, brother. Now, the reason why I'm doing this because he did a real master class on this one. He really did a good job on this. And I'm pretty sure some of y'all or most of y'all have seen this. I'm not sure. But for those who haven't, we're going to play it for you and insert things what he's saying. And I'm going to give you some examples through video. And we just going to continue from there. Just do me a favor again. Please make sure that you share this live and make sure you hit that like button, man.
Baltimore. Everybody rushed to Baltimore. They did the same thing with Michael Brown and Ferguson, not because they necessarily cared about the tragedy, but because they wanted to benefit personally from it. And so I stayed away from Ferguson. I stayed away from Baltimore. And I stayed away from the Nolan Wells situation for a while because I didn't want to look like so many other people who just jumped in to have something to say, to use that young man's loss of life for clickbait and views. Now that it's been over a month since he lost his life, I think it's okay for me to speak now because everyone else has kind of given their opinion, their analysis, their synopsis, and their feeling on the situation. So I'm going to give mine. First of all, Nolan Wells Javon, and I want Javon to hear this, and I want any other Black person who was on Devil Horns Island that day to hear this. And I want any Black person who was celebrating the 4th of July to hear this. No Black person, no Black freedman, no Black immigrant, no member of the Black race at all should have been celebrating July 4th, 2026. No one should have been celebrating America's 250th solar return. And why? Because our ancestors were still enslaved on July 4th, 1776. So why are we on White Devil Horns Island anyway, celebrating George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton and all these other white supremacists and slave masters? Why are we even celebrating them anyway? Nolan shouldn't have been out there. Javon shouldn't have been out there. No Black person should have been celebrating the 4th of July, period. We would be enslaved for almost another century after America got her independence. So what are we celebrating for? To celebrate the 4th of July as an African is to celebrate the enslavement of your ancestors and the freedom of your slave masters. It makes no sense. Now, with that being said, I'm not blaming Nolan in any way, shape, form, or fashion for his loss of life. I'm just simply saying he shouldn't have been out there. Now let's take a closer look at this, Art.
No.
According,
I swear I'm gonna let it play, but I'm gonna have to do interjecting because when you play somebody else's video, this is YouTube policy. You have to speak. So it'll be basically you giving your own interpretation of what's being played. But let me address this because Sylvester, now I know a lot of people feel some kind of way about Dr. Umar. I do too. But it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, who is not the messenger, it's the message that he's bringing. You dig what I'm saying? So it's like, eat the meat, spit out the bones. So I get it. And when he be saying that little, that the African shit, you know, I ain't on that type of time. But what he did do here was a great breakdown. So, all right, let's continue.
to what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, and what I've read, Nolan, Warren, Wyatt, and Trayston left for Horn Island the morning of July 4th. According to Warren's own words that he offered during an interview with Officer B.T. Coon, that's Coon as in C-U-N-E, Coon as in K-H-E-W-N, Coon as in K-U-H-N, Coon as in C-O-N-N. So Warren did a sit down with Officer B.T. Coon. And as we all know, B.T. Coon is white YouTube's pet monkey. He's white YouTube's pet monkey. So Warren sat down for an interview with white YouTube's pet monkey. And he said that they left for Horns Island the morning of July the 4th, and that it was approximately 30 of them spread across 3 boats. Approximately 30 youth spread across 3 boats. They all went to Horn Island together. They arrived at approximately 11:30. So they left around 9-ish, 8, 9-ish, whatever the case may be. They left the morning of July 4th. They arrived on White Devil's Horn Island at about 11:30. So 3 boats, 30 youth, they went together. I'm not clear on whether the 3 boats came back together or not. That's another question that I have, Art. Did they come back together the same way they left together? Because I'm treating all 30 of those white youth and all 3 of those ships as crime scenes and as suspects. All 3 ships are potential crime scenes. All 3 boats are potential crime scenes, and all 30 youth are potential suspects. I don't know why Jackson County Sheriff Ledbetter or Jackson County District Attorney Mulrath, I don't know why they decided to separate the boat that Nolan was on. Warren's boat, I don't know why they separated that boat from the other 2 for purposes of investigation and analysis, because those 3 boats operated as a team. And since they went out there as a team, and it hasn't been made clear to me whether or not they came back together as a team, all 30 white youth and all 3 boats should have been part of this investigation, not just the one boat. That is my first big issue with this case. Who decided to separate the other 2 boats and the other 20 or so youth? I got a problem with that, Art, because according to the Cajun Navy, they have no GPS information on the other 2 boats, Art. They have no GPS information on the other 2 boats. Now let's get into this. According to Warren and Nolan's other so-called white friends, they decided to leave the island around 4:30. So they were roughly on White Devil's Horn Island from 11:30 to 4:30. That is about 5 hours. Now, one question that has to be asked, Art, why did y'all leave so soon? Because they party on Horn Island all day long. Y'all didn't leave at sunset. Y'all didn't leave at sundown. Y'all left after only being there 5 hours. That's a little suspicious, Art. And I haven't heard anybody ask any of them, why did y'all decide to leave after only being there for 5 hours? Did y'all plan to only be on White Devil's Horn Island for 5 hours? Why did y'all leave at that time? But we'll deal with that later. So then let's listen to Javon, Nolan's other best friend. Now, another problem I got with this whole story, Art, is Nolan allegedly had too many best friends. I'm trying to find out, how does Nolan have so many best friends? And why did all of these so-called best friends leave their best friend on White Devil's Horn Island without his cell phone and keys? I'm trying to figure this out. So Javon claims he's Nolan's best friend. Warren claims he's Nolan's best friend. And Trayston allegedly claims that he's Warren's best friend. So did Warren have 3 best friends? Excuse me. Did Nolan have 3 best friends? Did Nolan have 13 best friends? Did Nolan have 30 best friends? Because if Javon is the best friend of Nolan, and if Warren is the best friend of Nolan, and if Trayston is the best friend of Nolan, exactly how many best friends did Nolan have? Are y'all making this up? Who did Nolan tell Warren was his best friend? Who did Nolan ever tell Trayston was his best friend? I'm not going to question Javon, because he's a brother. And
now, like I said, throughout this, I'm going to insert videos, which I'm going to do at this moment here when he's talking about Javon. I do question Javon as well. I mean, he did a good job, but I still question his mother, and I question everybody for the simple fact, if this is your best friend, why nobody out there is speaking up? Where, first of all, where's the black men out there? That's number one. Where is the marches? Where's all the strong alphas out there? I'm telling y'all, just like the dude that went on Don Lemon, the dude who's supposed to have cut Nolan Wells' hair when he was a kid, talking about that he felt that Ben Crump came down here and stirred up some racial stuff and basically what he was saying, he didn't want no fights or any trouble to happen, meaning that I think pretty much what I'm saying is, without trying to be too disrespectful, but I think the motherfuckers are still scared of the white people down there. The shit that happened in Mississippi, I still think it left a mark on these niggas down there, because where's the alpha? And I don't even hear David Banner talking about this shit. He from Mississippi. But back to the point when he talk about Javon, I'm gonna insert the video in a second.
Do believe that there's a strong chance that they may have been best friends. And I say that not only because Javon is a brother, Art, but I also felt that Javon, through the investigation team and alley-oop, with some of the answers that he gave on TMZ. Mm-hmm. Some of Javon's answers, in my opinion, kind of made it clear to me he actually cared about Nolan. I believe Javon actually cared about Nolan. And because of that, I'm willing to say that Javon may have actually been Nolan's best friend.
Now, let's go here.
A lot of just leaning on each other in this moment and just taking it day by day. That's really all we can do right now. It's been hard. You know, every day is different. And really, every second is different.
We done seen this plenty of times. I just want to skip to Javon talks because we done seen this before. God bless and much love to her. Let's go to him. All right, let me bring this back right here. Here we go.
You were on the island on the 4th. You were on a different boat. Do you recall seeing him at all that day?
Yes, ma'am. I did see him when I was out there on the island.
Can you?
Now, again, why would you even say that? You're supposed to be the best friend, ma'am. You're supposed to be cool with the mother. Excuse me. Hold on. Oh, shit. My bad. You're supposed to be cool with the mother. Why, when she asked that question, why would you nudge him like that? So I question everybody. Let's bring that back one more time. My bad. One more time.
You were on a different boat. Do you recall seeing him at all that day?
Yes, ma'am. I did see him when I was out there on the island.
Can you tell me what you saw? Does anything seem strange to you about the difference that people are saying of how he was separated from the group?
No, ma'am. I don't think that Nolan would say, hey, bro, I'm staying with this girl on the island. Y'all go ahead and go back without even bringing it, like not even asking to get his phone back. You know what I mean? I don't think that any of that.
What makes?
And that's what I love about this interview. But this is why we understand that this case is really going to. I hate to say it, or I keep saying that if we know their playbook and how white supremacy moves, and you see from all the evidence from after July 4th, and everything that we have now, that everybody done made everything right now, and there is nothing. There's no they lawyered up. Okay, but there's no anything, like they ain't give us no update. And mind you, that island is a federal island, and they still haven't stepped in. Just nothing. They letting us know it without saying anything, because silence speaks 1,000 words, right? As we see, I don't want to say nothing's going to happen, but I'm telling you, look at the playbook. Look at what happened far as the police, the Jackson County, even the FBI, because then they stepped in 2 weeks ago, and we still got nothing today. Come on, family.
You're so sure about that? Because I mean, you've been with him, you've spent a lot of time with him. Did you know him to be someone to leave his phone or even say, "You guys go without me"?
Never. I've never known Nolan to stay back while his friends leave. He's always been a guy where if he rode with you, he's going to come back with you. That's always how he's been every single time.
Salute to him. Let's continue, because again, like I said, I got more to do to play for y'all. Let's continue.
I wish somebody would have asked Javon Art, to your knowledge, has Nolan ever called Warren his best friend? Has Nolan ever called Tristan his best friend? To your knowledge, Javon, has Nolan ever told you that Warren and Tristan were best friends of his? Because Art, I'm having a problem with this three best friend narrative. Okay, I used to be 18 years old. You might have one best friend. You may have two. Don't get me wrong. If you all hang in a pack, you could have three best friends. But according to Javon's own words, Art, he didn't really hang around with them other guys too much. That's what I allegedly thought I heard him say. He didn't hang around with them guys too much. So if you got 2 or 3 or 4 best friends, you guys normally travel as a group. Javon seemed like he kind of spent most of his time with Nolan alone, just the two of them, not with Tristan and Warren. Although he knew them, it didn't appear that he hung out with them on the regular. So how could they all then be best friends? It's possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying it's unlikely. So according to Javon Art, he saw Nolan at 3:40 on the island. According to Javon, what I heard him say to TMZ allegedly was that he had another friend who was involved in an altercation and that he left Nolan at about 3:40 to go check on his buddy, because according to Javon, his buddy was on another ship and the parents of whomever on this other ship were trying to get him off the island because he was crashing out. He never said who this friend was. He never exactly told us what happened, but he said, I left at 3:40 to go check on my friend on another boat because, quote unquote, well, these are not his words, I'm paraphrasing, he was kind of wilding out, crashing out, and he needed to help calm him down. I'm paraphrasing. He said when he got back, Nolan was nowhere to be found, and I'm paraphrasing. And Nolan's boat that he came on, Warren's boat, the so-called Big Daddy, the 22-foot Triton, had already left the scene. So according to Javon, I left Nolan at 3:40 to go deal with another situation. I came back, he was gone. According to Katie, the white girl who Nolan's white best friends are trying to use as an alibi in this situation. Okay, because they claim, and Warren said the same thing to Officer B.T. Coon when he spoke with him. They claim that Nolan told them, I'm going to hang back on this island and talk to Katie. You guys go ahead and I'll get back however I get back. Again, I'm paraphrasing. But guess what? We learned through Katie's sister that Katie said she has no knowledge of Nolan ever saying that. In fact, Katie said, Art, that Nolan told her, I got to get ready to head back to the boat because my friends are leaving soon. That don't sound like somebody who plans on staying, Art. Okay? According to her sister, Katie said Nolan told Katie, it's time for me to head back to the boat because my friends are going to be leaving soon. As far as I'm concerned, Art, Javon and Katie both threw us an alley-oop. Javon and Katie are throwing Sheriff Ledbetter of Jackson County an alley-oop because neither one of them are corroborating the story of Nolan's white friends on that boat. In fact, Javon said, this ain't adding up. Javon said, it's not like Nolan to say, you guys go ahead and leave me on this island and I'm just going to stay back to talk to this girl who I barely know. According to Javon, it don't make no sense. Javon ain't stupid, Art. That's his friend. He know damn well Nolan didn't tell them that he was going to stay back on that ship. And then Katie.
But let's think about it. Is Javon fighting for justice? He didn't lawyer up. Police didn't even speak to him or even investigate anybody when he did that TMZ interview. He said that they never questioned him. You know what's wrong. You know how Nolan is. He would have never left or stayed back without even getting his phone. Because it like, who would not? All right, you leaving? Yo, I'm staying with Shorty. Hey, we ain't gonna put the number in or whatever. You think what I'm saying? I throw me my phone. Throw me my phone and my keys. You think what I'm saying? That is the natural reaction. If you know your shit is on a boat, you're not just gonna say, all right, man, yo, just I'm gonna get a ride and just leave your keys in your phone. No, just toss me my phone. You know what I'm saying? Toss my phone, toss my keys. I'll see y'all later. You think what I'm saying? But anyway, let's continue. I just feel like nobody, his so-called friends, forget the white people. We already know what kind of mentality, we know what we're dealing with. Again, we know who we dealing with. We have a track record with them. It's like, but where's the other black friends too? Nobody's really speaking up for him. Everybody's supposed to be his friend. Nobody's speaking up for him. Like that best friend shit. I can't take that. Nah.
I'm gonna give a little bit of respect to Katie on this situation, because as a white girl, Art, for her to come out and say that is not what happened, for her to come out and say that Nolan told me I got to get back to the boat because my friends are leaving, for her to say that, Art, that took a little bit of courage and honesty. That took a little bit of integrity. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to give her too much credit because she is trying to clear her name. What Katie is basically doing, Art, is she's saying, listen, y'all did whatever y'all did to Nolan, but you're not going to add me to the narrative. I'm not serving as nobody's alibi. I'm not helping nobody get out of this situation. You're not going to use me as a decoy, but I still appreciate Katie speaking up for Nolan, Art, because she didn't have to do it. Although she's trying to protect herself and stay out of the investigation, I appreciate Katie for letting the world know Nolan told me I got to head back to the boat because my friends are getting ready to leave. Now, according to Katie, Art, she spoke to Nolan sometime between 3 and 4:30. Now, her window appears to be wider than everybody else's window. So Javon's window is much smaller. He said, I saw him at 3:40, went to deal with another situation. By the time I came back, they were gone. Katie said, I spoke with him between 3 and 4:30. And I allege, Art, one of the reasons that Katie is making her window so wide is she trying to leave a little bit of wiggle room for Warren and them to get their story straight, allegedly. I think Katie trying to leave a little bit of wiggle room for Warren and them to get their story straight, Art. Now, according to our sister Christine, and my heart goes out to Sister Christine, Nolan's mother. My heart deeply, deeply goes out to you, Queen. According to Christine, Art, she heard from a coach who ran into Nolan on the island as well. And according to the coach, he spoke to Nolan between 2:30 and 3:30. So Javon didn't see him after 3:40. The coach spoke to him sometime between 2:30 and 3:30. And Katie said her conversation with Nolan was between 3 and 4:30. So you know what that means, Art? We can pretty much conclude that Nolan was likely to have been unalived, Art, sometime within the hour of 3:30 to 4:30. I'm going to insinuate that Nolan's life was taken because I do not believe he accidentally drowned. If he drowned, he was forcibly drowned. And we'll get to that in a minute. If Nolan drowned, he was forcibly drowned. He did not accidentally drown. He was a great swimmer. Miss me with the nonsense. That boy did not drown. If he drowned, it was by force. So again, Art, all three of these people, arguably the last three to see him alive, except for those who took his life, Katie, the coach, and Javon, are arguably the last three people to see Nolan alive, except for those who took his life on that boat, allegedly. That's my position. So they're all basically cutting off around 3:30, Art. Remember, they made the call for the emergency CTO at 4 o'clock. Javon said he cut out 3:40. The coach, 3:30. They made the call at 4 o'clock. That conversation we heard, the CTO call, which we're going to talk about in a minute, that took place at 4. It sounded like there was some struggling going on in the background. Nolan could have been getting unalived while they were making the call, Art. Nolan could have been getting unalived while they were making the call. Nolan could have been getting choked out while they was on the phone with Cito. So again, Art, my position is Nolan lost his life somewhere within the hour of 3:30 to 4:30. Now, before we go any further, Art, I need Ben Crump investigation team and Sheriff Ledbetter's investigation team to have a conversation with Javon, because according to Javon's statements on TMZ, the police never spoke to him. And I have serious concerns with the manner in which this investigation has been carried out so far, Art. I have very serious concerns with the manner in which this investigation has been carried out so far. So anyway, Javon said police never spoke with him. Why? We need a conversation with Javon, not because I think he's a suspect. I believe Javon is innocent, but we need to find out what he knows.
Have a former investigator breaks down that the authorities made a big mistake. He just did it today. So I was going to play that earlier, but I'm going to play that a little bit after this. But this part right here that he's about to say, I totally agree with him, and I'll just let him land his plane on that.
Number one, we also need a conversation, Art, with the coach. Who is this coach that Sister Christine said contacted her and told her he had a conversation with Nolan on the island between 2:30 and 3:30? We need to find out what he knows. And according to Katie's sister, she is already cooperating with the authorities. But here's why those three got to be spoken to, Art. Not only so we find out what they know, Art, but did they see each other during their conversation with Nolan? Because Javon, if you was talking to Nolan and left him at 3:40, and if Katie was talking to Nolan sometime between 3 and 4:30, and if the coach was talking to Nolan between 3:30 and 4:30, Art, at least two of you should have ran into each other. Did the coach see Javon? Did Javon see the coach? Did the coach see Katie? Did Katie see the coach? Did Katie see Javon? Did the coach see Katie? Art, if all three of them are saying they saw Nolan for the last time, roughly within the same hour and a half, Art, did y'all run into each other? Let me tell you why I'm asking this question, Art. And I'm not throwing no shade at my brother Javon. I like Javon. I'm not throwing no shade at Miss Katie McCormick. I don't know her. I'm not throwing no shade at the coach, Art. But the reason I need to know why all y'all put y'all time within the same frame and you may have not possibly seen one another, Art, are you guys keeping yourself out of the window of witnessing this crime by saying you didn't see him after 3:30? I want you to follow what I'm saying here, Art. It's kind of interesting that they all saw him last at 3:30, not after 3:30. Javon 3:40, roughly 3:30. My point is, Art, for all three of them to have the same exact time, if they did not see each other at all during these conversations with Nolan, are they pushing up the window of time during which they saw Nolan so they cannot be included in this investigation as a witness to a crime? In other words, Art, I don't think Javon had nothing to do with it. I know he didn't. But is he saying he saw Nolan a little earlier than he saw him so he can't be pulled into the investigation?
I think all of them, and that's a beautiful point, because I think all of them are I don't want to say in cahoots, but ain't it ironic with all of those people that was on that island? None of them ran into each other, but they also seen him around this particular time. How is that nobody seen him afterwards? During the interview with Trayston, he said that there was at least 50 other people that were still on that island after 4:30, meaning like 4:30 and up, that would have saw Nolan, but nobody spoke about it. Nobody speaking up about it. So it's just ironic that timeline, the coach, Javon, Trayston, Warren, they all speaking on that particular time. That could have mean that they trying to give room so whereas they can't be implicated or in trouble because they know they seen something, because he had to be murdered within that timeline because there was other people still on that island afterwards. Remember, they supposed to have left around 3 o'clock. Next thing you know, I guess a week or so go by, then they happen to leave around 4:30. That right there is already skeptical. So it's just messed up that nobody else that was on that island can even say that they saw him. Now there's videos that I already have that's going to show all the boats. You can see Nolan Wells, in the water, and then you can see how far from where they standing at. You can still stand in the water, and you could be damn near. Or I'm not good with the measurements, but a half a mile. I'm gonna show the images. I got all the pictures. Like, so how did he drown? Like, how far he was from the actual sand? Because you can see in the pictures, everybody is standing up in the water, and you're literally not that far. Well, far, but not that far. You almost like I say in football yards, probably 40 yards. If we talking football, 40 yards. You're still standing up in the water. How nobody didn't see this dude? And nobody is, it's crazy. I don't want to talk too long, but let me play this as well when we're talking about the timeline. Let me play this. We're gonna get back to Dr. Umar. I got a couple of videos I want to insert. Come on, let's get it.
Nolan Wells' timeline with my supporting evidence. There were 3 boats in their group that day: Palm Beach, the Triton, and the Tideline. By the way, if you like my work, you can support me in my bio, because by the end of this video, I'll be dropping never before seen evidence. Anyway, back to the timeline. Warren said they got there at 10:30, even though the GPS said that they dropped their waypoint at 11:19. He said the Tidecraft, the Palm Beach, and the Triton were all like anchored up next to each other. At 3 o'clock, he gets into a fight with some stranger who didn't like the way that he was talking to his girlfriend, because I mean, look at the way he was talking in this interview. I don't blame them. And they had a fist fight. His uncle was like, "We're getting the hell out of here."
I remember at one point in time, I look over and I see my uncle, and my uncle's yelling at me to get in the boat. I stopped fighting. As soon as me and him made eye contact, I got my uncle. I got in the boat.
Then Warren says that his brother was also involved in the same fight.
Girl come up to me and say, "Hey, your brother just got in a fight." And obviously, I have a younger brother, and that's what she was talking about, and I was freaked out. So I walked over to the beach, and I didn't walk over. I ran over. I made a beeline. I didn't talk to anybody. Put my drink down and walked over there. And my brother was kind of angry, and there's a lot going on, but someone was getting pulled away. I don't know who it was, and my brother was like, "Oh, I just got in a fight," and this guy punched me in the face, and I punched him right back. Then I went to the ground. My brother put him in an armbar. And was Nolan involved in any of this? Absolutely not. When I was over there, there was a bunch of younger guys like my brother's age, and I mean, Nolan, I never saw Nolan over there. No. Absolutely not. And okay, sorry, I just lost my.
So you get ready to go. There's an issue with the boat.
Okay, yeah.
This is
up to that.
Yeah. So the fight happened. Your brother the scuffle. I'm assuming that it was cleared up.
Right.
You got your brother out of this situation, and then how did you find out that this boat is sinking?
Well, I walk back over, and like we're probably around each other for a little bit. I mean, I wasn't thinking anything about it. I pulled my brother off the beach. I was just like.
I'm sorry that I hate when they speed it up so they like won't get in trouble or whatever, and they're talking mad fast, so it's hard to catch it. So hopefully y'all already seen this already.
In the water, hang out with us, calm down. I mean, he was calm, but I didn't want anything else to happen, And so once I got back over the boat, I got on the Triton, and the Triton had probably about 6 inches of water up to the transom, and I was freaked out because I'm good friends with Wyatt, and that was his boat, and no water's coming out, no access water's coming out, and it was a big issue because I think the reason was because there's so many people getting on and off the boat. At some point, the boat was very, very crowded, and there's just a lot of people on, so it drags water.
Let me just move that out.
Not in the way that he was saying it.
I think over time we were out there for a couple hours. The boat just started filling up with water, so I popped the starboard side hatch, and the battery was completely underwater, and so the motor wouldn't trim down. I mean, my buddy would go to trim it down from the console, and it trimmed down, and then it come right back up.
Now, trimming the motor means they move the propeller closer to the transom, and it lowers the bow, which means they can drive through choppy water without risking that choppy water to come into the boat. Failing to trim your boat up and taking off at a high speed can not only overheat very quickly and cause it to shore, but if waves are high, it won't cut through the wake, and it will cause the boat to porpoise and possibly have rough, choppy waters get on your boat.
So, I mean, on the way out there, it was pretty calm. I think it was blowing like 3 or 4 knots. I mean, the waters were clear. It was a great day to be on the water. Sunshine, not cloudy at all. And I mean, it was a great day to be out there on 4th of July. And so, I mean, we followed each other.
We'll come back to that. There's more. I got more. I just don't, this shit is like talking too fucking fast. So, and I know that's kind of like, people can't really catch what he's saying.
I don't think Katie had nothing to do with the crime, but it's Katie putting her conversation with Nolan a little earlier than it actually took place to make sure she can't be dragged into the investigation as a witness to a crime. Is it possible that the coach is putting his conversation with Nolan earlier than what it was, Art, to make sure he cannot get dragged into the investigation. I don't think they had anything to do with it, but they could have been a witness to a homicide, Art. They could have been witness to a homicide. If they did not see each other, if none of those three people, the coach, Javon, and Katie, if they did not see each other at all talking to Nolan, if none of them saw each other talking to Nolan, at least two of them are lying about the time they last saw Nolan. Are you following me, Art? All I'm saying is I have my suspicions as to whether or not this convenient 3:30 cutoff window, I have my suspicions that this convenient 3:30 cutoff window may have not actually been the time they saw Nolan. They may have saw Nolan closer to the time he lost his life. Now, stay with me, Art. I want to back up for a minute. And I want to say this to Brother Elmore, Nolan's stepfather. And I want to say this to Coach Tracy, who I believe was one of Nolan's coaches. Brother Elmore, the stepfather, and Coach Tracy, the coach, both said on national television, Art, that they don't think race played a role in this at all. Elmore, Tracy, two dark-skinned black men in Mississippi, and both of them said on national television, I don't think race had anything to do with this case. I am disappointed in Brother Elmore. I am disappointed in Coach Tracy. How dare you help these young people avoid the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. federal hate crimes law, Art? By you saying you don't think this had anything to do with race, Brother Elmore and Coach Tracy, you are helping these white folks avoid federal hate crimes charges. And let me tell you why this is important, Art. Let me tell you why this is important. Under the federal hate crimes law, Matthew Shepard, James Byrd, signed by Barack Obama, 2009. Under the Federal Hate Crimes Act, Art, you can go to jail for life. You can go to jail for life under the Federal Hate Crimes Law. So if you can go to jail for life under the Federal Hate Crimes Act, Art, why is Nolan's stepfather and coach telling white folks they don't think it had anything to do with race? I still love my brother Elmore. I still love my brother Coach Tracy. But would y'all please watch what comes out of your mouth during this investigation?
Coach Tracy, I remember looking at his Instagram page some weeks back. If I'm not mistaken, because he is a coach, but I think he got a white wife. Not saying anything is wrong with that. I mean, you love who the fuck you love. But to say this is not racist, it don't have no racist undertones, it tells you the mindset. I'm telling y'all that Mississippi has a long history. I know y'all know, but it has put in a beating on the people psychologically throughout the ages. And it's passed down. Now, I'm not saying there's no alphas down there. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying with a case like this, it will bring up old memories. It's like peeling the scab off a wound. And some people that, or a nice percentage of people down there, do not want the ruffles, the feathers to be ruffled. Just like the guy with that big ass beard that carries groceries in it, talking about how he don't. Ben Trump came down here and causing all this ruckus and saying things is racial, and you're trying to start some problems, like sounding real like you know, docile, because they know certain things happen and they could get away with it. But at what point in time when motherfuckers gonna step up? And I caught flack for saying this about Elmore. I understand that your stepson was murdered and it has affected you and it has damaged you. I mean, I understand that, you know, but I'm still gonna stand, and I probably lose some of y'all right now by me saying this. I'm gonna still say it now. I'm not saying that he's not an alpha. I'm just saying speak up. Say what it is. And to me, of course you said, I'll be sad too. If I was in that situation, of course I would do the same, but I will be, my fucking back will be straight and I'll be firm. It's just something. Yes, he feel, because I'm just going off of the backlash that I got from what I said. But damn, like, what the fuck, man? Like, man, the fuck up, man. That's what
because you are undermining justice for Nolan. I hope you're listening, Brother Elmore. And I hope you're listening, Coach Tracy. You are undermining justice for Nolan by saying you don't think race had anything to do with it. How in the hell do you know? How do you know if race had anything to do with it? How well do you know these young people? It was 30 of them, Art. It was damn near 30 white youth spread across 3 boats. How many of them did Elmore know? How many of them did Coach Tracy know? So how are you going to go on TV and say, I don't think it had anything to do with race? Why are you helping them avoid accountability for what they may have done? I don't know if they did it, Art.
I'm sorry. I want to pose a question in there. What I just said about Elmore, do y'all agree, or do you don't, or do you think I was a little bit harsh? I don't know, but just please let me know, because I got a lot of backlash from that. I'm just saying, damn. Just have a little backbone, man. Am I tripping, man? Somebody let me know. I don't know if I think I'm tripping. I'm gonna still stand on it. Y'all can kiss my ass, but that's just how I feel. Fuck that.
Don't know if they did it. They don't know if they did it, and they definitely don't know if it was motivated by race. What they should have said, Art, is what Javon said, and that's why I like the young brother Javon. That's why I like that young brother Javon. His mother, Sister Tashima, shout out to you. You raised a good kid. When TMZ asked Javon if he thought it had anything to do with race, Art, when TMZ asked Javon if he thought this had anything to do with race, he said, what? I don't want to answer that question. I don't want to answer that question. Perfect answer. Perfect answer. Or, Art, they could have said, I don't know. Nolan's stepfather could have said, I don't know if it had anything to do with race. Coach Tracy should have said, I don't know if it had anything to do with race. But to say you don't think it had to do with race when he was the only black boy across 3 ships, are you out of your mind? Why would you say that and help them avoid the Federal Hate Crimes Act? Javon gave a better answer than those 2 black men. Javon, a child, gave a better answer than those 2 black men, Art, when he said, I don't want to answer the question. And shout out to Javon, Art. He's intelligent. You know why? Because by saying, I don't want to answer the question, he answered the question. Of course, race has something to do with it. This is the United States of America. Race has something to do with everything involving black people. The country was built on the backs of black people. It's maintained on black people. We are disproportionately represented in the criminal justice system, overrepresented in the unemployment line, under the poverty line. Of course, everything in this country has to do with race. And I'm disappointed in us, Art, that we are so afraid to call racism what it is, that we literally got people asking us, when a white person takes the life of a black person, do you think it had anything to do with race? When a police officer takes the life or shoots a black person, do you think it had anything to do? What kind of idiotic gaslighting question is this, Art? All white people are racist. All white people are racist. So we can stop asking if it had anything to do with race. If it's black and it's white, it has something to do with race, because all white people are racist. That's just how it is. Now let's get back to this. Let's get back to this. Before we deal with the infamous Cito call, Art, I got a few questions for Warren. I want to deal with that infamous Cito call, Art. And I want to deal with Sister Tashima and Sister Christine's visit to Warren's home to get Nolan's cell phone. I want to deal with them two in a minute. But before I go there, I got a couple questions for Warren and his white friends. Nolan's best friend, and Warren even called Nolan his brother, Art. He even called him his brother. He said they spent the night together before they went out to White Devil's Horn Island, Art. The night before, July 3rd, they stayed in the same home. How do you stay in the same home with somebody, Art, and leave them on an island? How do you sleep in the same house with somebody July 3rd and then leave them on an island July 4th? But I got a few questions for Warren. No disrespect. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm not saying he's guilty, but I got a few questions for you, Warren. Since you could sit down and interview with Officer B.T. Coon, I need you to sit down and interview with Dr. Umar Ifatunde. So you can sit down and interview with Officer B.T. Coon, I want you to sit down and interview with Dr. Umar Ifatunde. My first question to Warren, you said that Nolan is a best friend of yours, that he's like a brother. I have a question. If Nolan is your brother and best friend, why did you leave him on that island, especially when you all were drinking? Because somebody put a report out there, Art, that Nolan had been drinking heavily and was intoxicated. Of course, that allegation was dismissed because the coach who contacted Sister Christine confirmed that he spoke to Nolan between 2:30 and 3:30, and Nolan was not intoxicated. So they lied to protect their friends.
And let me just add this on that 22-page document, which I have too. We can look at that at another time or whatever, depending on how long we're gonna be here. But it shows in the toxicology, it says heavy intoxicated. So they are still going with the notion that it was an accidental drowning by intoxication. The 22-page document they just put up, what was that, 2-3 days ago? It still says the toxicology shows, or that they just wrote down, that he was heavily intoxicated. And now we still have to wait to whatever kind of evidence that they present to the grand jury to see if they will give any indictments. We still not going the Ben Crump or the parents' attorneys. Nobody won't be able to see a motherfucking thing. They just have to wait until the grand jury see if there's a criminal case or not, and look at all these people that is well connected. Do y'all really think? I hope so, and I pray. I really want justice, but do you think they're gonna get justice? If Ben Crump says, now this is all alleged, and I'm gonna play that video too, and he brings that up as well too. The guy allegedly told Ben Crump that we have those dogs that could sniff decomposition and blood, this, that, and the third. And according to him, he said no. And let me just play it since I'm here, and then we get right back to here. Please do me a favor. Please make sure that you share this live. I want to play it to get it out the way. It's very short. Here we go.
Kind of bizarre theories about how he was, he came back to the island. They took him back out there and dumped him, all this kind of stuff. So we just said, hey, one of our top, canine teams happens to be in Jackson County, Mississippi. Jackson County Canine is their name. I said, we'll be happy to have these cadaver dogs go over and inspect the boat. And we told this to Crump's legal team. And so we'll have them go inspect the boat, and they'll be able to tell if there's decomp on that boat. And they said, oh, well, we heard they cleaned the boat. I said, no, there's only one chemical that you could possibly get rid of decomp with. And I guarantee these people don't know what it is. So there's no way they could be a month later, these dogs would be able to smell the decomp. And they would also have Nolan sent if he was on the boat alive, but they would also know if there was a dead body on that boat. And they declined. They said, "Nah, we don't think so." So I'm not sure why they didn't want to dispel that right away. We would have known right away.
Now that right there is hearsay from what I heard today, that Ben Crump didn't even have a conversation with this guy. I don't know. But why nobody have not pushed these cadaver dogs to even look at the boat? There's a picture floating around. I do have. I got to find. I think I have it, where it shows blood on the boat. So it's the same place where you see the picture with them on the boat, and you see like a leg hanging off the boat, and if that in that same exact spot, you see blood there. You understand what I'm saying? So this whole shit is just crazy, man. I got a lot to pull up, so I don't want to interject too much, but I have to insert some other videos during this interview here. Let's go.
Because white people are always on code, Art. Not us.
And then we bring it back a little bit if we got off context.
Been drinking heavily and was intoxicated. Of course, that allegation was dismissed because the coach who contacted Sister Christine confirmed that he spoke to Nolan between 2:30 and 3:30, and Nolan was not intoxicated. So they lied to protect their friends, because white people are always on code, Art. Not a single white person on that island dropped a dime yet. Not one of them. So anyway, Art, they tried to blame it on him being drunk. So he was just a drunk black kid who walked into the water and drowned. That's the narrative they wanted us to swallow. He was just a drunk black kid who walked into the water and drowned. And remember, Art, Sheriff Ledbetter allegedly ruled the case an accidental drowning before he did any investigation. He ruled Nolan's death an accidental drowning before he did any investigation. As far as I'm concerned, that meets the definition of public corruption. As far as I'm concerned, that meets the definition of public corruption. But stand with Warren, Art. Warren, if Nolan is your brother and best friend, why did you leave him on an island without his cell phone and his keys? Why did you take his cell phone and keys back to the mainland? You left him there and took his cell phone and keys back. Can you please explain that to me? What person wants to be on an island without their phone? Help me understand that, Warren. I don't know of an 18-year-old who wants to be anywhere without their phone, Art. They don't want to be in school without their phone. They don't want to be at home without their phone. They don't want to be out of town without their phone. They don't want to be at the mall, the movies, the restaurant. They don't want to be nowhere without their phone, let alone on an island with no way to get off. You left your best friend on an island, your so-called brother. You left him on an island with no way to get off, and you took his phone and his keys. Can you explain that to me, Warren? While you're thinking about it, I got another question for you, Warren, while you're thinking about it. You said at 11 o'clock, you called Miss Christine to see if she heard from her son. Warren said, Art, I called Miss Christine to see if she heard from Nolan. She said she had not heard from Nolan. Can I ask you a question, Warren? If you took his phone, how in the hell was his mother supposed to hear from her son when you have the son's phone? Did you tell Miss Christine that you had her son's phone when you called her? I bet you didn't. I bet you didn't. Think about that, Art. He called the mother and asked her if she heard from her son. But he knows she didn't hear from her son, Art, because he has her son's phone. How can the mother hear from Nolan when you have Nolan's cell phone and you left him on an island? And I bet you didn't tell her you had his phone. Because if she knew you had his phone, Art, she would not have had to use Life 360 to find the phone. If you had his phone and you called her at 11 o'clock to see if Nolan was okay, why didn't you tell Nolan's mom you had his phone? Why did my sister Christine and my sister Tashima have to use Life 360 to find their son's phone? Because you playing games. You playing games. You playing in our face like we stupid. That's what this is. I don't know if he did it, Art, but he damn sure knows who do. I allege and I believe that all 30 of those white kids on all 3 of them boats know exactly which one of them did it, and the rest of them are covering it up. And guess what, Warren? And the rest of you 30 white kids on those 3 boats, let me explain something to you. Federal hate crimes law, you can go to jail for the rest of your life in case nobody didn't tell you. Federal hate crimes law, you can go to jail for the rest of your life in case nobody told you. Guess what? The Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act, you can go to jail for up to 30 years. And if Nolan was unalived by more than one person, that constitutes a lynching. That constitutes a lynching. So you can go to jail for up to 30 on the Emmett Till Act. You can go to jail for life on the Matthew Shepard James Byrd Hate Crimes Act. And in the state of Mississippi, Art, if you are an accessory after the fact, not accomplice. Accomplice means you participated in the murder. Accessory means you help cover it up afterwards. If you are an accessory to the fact after the fact, Art, you can go to jail for up to 20 years, Mississippi law. So they can go to jail for up to 20 years, Mississippi law. Accessory after the fact, you help to cover up the crime. You can go to jail for 30 years on the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act because more than one of you probably participated in Nolan's unaliving. And under the Matthew Shepard James Byrd Federal Hate Crimes Act, Art, they can go to jail for life. And this is why I need Nolan's step, pop, and coach to watch what comes out of their mouth and stop trying to help these white kids avoid accountability for what they did to Nolan. Because if the tables will turn, white folks are not going to try to help your child avoid any accountability. So stop the now.
That's why it bothers me if they know if it was the other way around. Like they know if it was the other way around, all of those black kids would have got rounded up. Everybody would have got questioned. Everybody's background would have been plastered on TV. They went to jail or this, that, and the third. They even putting up that the mother, Christine, gave up her child, gave up parental rights and shit like that, putting that up, which don't even, you mean it don't have nothing to do with the case. And what about, it's supposed to be, her father is supposed to be, crazy work, allegedly, her father, is Christopher Wells Sr. He's supposed to be her actual father. But her son is Christopher Wells Jr. So is it his father / grandfather? Notice that we haven't seen the father. I don't give a fuck. But those are things that people have been saying. So it's weird. But you see how they put out her stuff and she's trying to get justice. You understand what I'm saying? So if it was the tables was turned, y'all already know how it would have played out. So we need more masculine men to open their mouths and have their back straightened up and stop looking defeated. It's okay to feel defeated than to look it. We put on a smile every day. Everybody got their fucking problems. Ain't y'all smiling? When y'all go to work knowing shit ain't right at home or whatever the case may be, you just lost your motherfucking mother or whatever the case may be, straighten up and man up, bitch. That's what the fuck I'm saying.
So
shit.
Stop the now.
Kiss my ass too.
Another question I have for Warren. You said you and Nolan been friends since 8th grade. Since 8th grade, Art. But Sister Christine says she don't know none of them kids really, Art. She don't know them white kids. So help me understand how you are Nolan's best friend, friends since 8th grade. You called him your brother. Y'all spent the night together July the 3rd, the morning before y'all went to White Devil's Horn Island, and his mother don't even know who you are. And you said out your own mouth that y'all never hung out at Nolan's house. So how are y'all best friends? I had best friends growing up, Art. My mother knew who they were. Who has a best friend that they mom don't know about? Help me understand that. A best friend and the mom don't know him, it sounds suspicious. Why didn't you tell Miss Christine you had her son's cell phone when you called and asked if she heard from him? Art, as far as I'm concerned, there's probable cause he has something to do with this. Art, I'm holding her son's cell phone. I left him on the island. I took his keys and phone, and I'm on the phone with the mom. I got his phone, but I'm calling his mother at 11 o'clock. Have you heard from your son? And I'm holding her son's cell phone, and I don't even tell her. Art, this ain't making no sense. This ain't making no sense. And I want to know from Sheriff John Ledbetter, Art, Jackson County Sheriff, you don't have probable cause just off of that alone? Somebody calls somebody's mom asking if she heard from him while they have their phone and left him stranded on the island. And if you care so much about Nolan, Art, if he cares so much about Nolan, the so-called white best friend, Art, why did you wait till 11 o'clock? Y'all left the island 4:30. Y'all left the island 4:30. If you care so much about Nolan, why are you not calling his mother until 11 o'clock? It's pitch black outside at 11 o'clock, Art. It's pitch black. It's almost midnight, and you wait till 11 o'clock to call his mom and ask her if she heard from her son, but he's supposed to be your brother and best friend. Listen here, Warren. I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. And then I have a question for his dad too, Art. I don't know if you know this, but his dad has started an online fundraising platform for Warren and two of his friends. I think they raised $160,000 so far. $160,000. Nobody has been arrested. Nobody has received a warrant. Nobody has been indicted. Nobody has been charged. Art, if you are innocent, why are you raising money online? You ain't been charged with a crime at all. The state of Mississippi is doing everything they can to make sure y'all don't get charged with anything. So why are you raising money online? Why did y'all cancel your social media? Why are y'all lowering up? They hired Donald Trump's lawyer, Art. One of Donald Trump's lawyers is now the three of their lawyers. If you innocent, what you need Donald Trump's lawyer for? If you're innocent, what you raising $160,000 for? It sounds like y'all getting ready to defend yourselves. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like y'all think the truth is going to get out really, really soon, and y'all want to be prepared for it. Again, Art, I'm not saying he did it, but I definitely believe he knows who do. Now, we're going to get to this call. But before we get to this call, Art, I want to ask a question to Benjamin Crump. Attorney Benjamin Crump. I met him twice, Art. I met Benjamin Crump the day before I graduated with my doctorate at an Urban League conference in New Orleans. I presented at a workshop at the Urban League conference in New Orleans. This is July of 2012. And I flew back to graduate and get my doctorate in clinical psychology. We had lunch. It's a few of us at the table. We had lunch. Okay. This is around the Trayvon era. And then I met Benjamin Crump again at HBCU Delaware State University about 3 or 4 years ago at the Black Farmers Conference that was put on by one of the Black professors there. She invited me to keynote the luncheon, and she switched me out at the last minute for Attorney Benjamin Crump. I understand it was a Black bourgeoisie event. I'm not a member of the Black bourgeoisie. I got switched out. I understand. No harm, no foul. Ben Crump gave a good speech. But here's my question to Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton. Art. How long are y'all going to wait around before y'all call a spade a spade? How long is Ben Crump and Al Sharpton going to wait around, Art, before they tell the world that they don't think this investigation is being done correctly? How long before Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton demand that the FBI and Department of Justice take over this investigation? Art, it's been over a month and we know nothing. It's been over a month and we know nothing. Now, let me say this, Art. There's several circumstances through which you can demand the FBI come in and take over an investigation. One of them, Art, if there is a suspicion of public corruption or obstruction of justice. The FBI, the Department of Justice, can come in and take over a case on the suspicion of public corruption or obstruction of justice. So you're going to say, Dr. Umar, what evidence do you have of that? First of all, they declared this an accidental drowning before they did any investigation. That's a cover-up. Not only that, Art, they never treated the boat like a crime scene. They never took a look at the other two boats. We have no information at all on the other two boats. Those 30 white kids should have had their cell phones confiscated, investigated. All their social media should have been investigated. Their homes should have been investigated. They should have all been interrogated. They should have been investigated to see if they or their parents had any connection to any of the white hate groups in the state of Mississippi. None of that was done. They gave the boat back to the owner, Art. They gave the boat back. The boat may have been a crime scene, and they gave it back. Now, according to the Cajun Navy, another question for Ben Crump, Art. According to the Cajun Navy, they offered Ben Crump to put dogs on the boat and let the dogs sniff it out to see if anybody had recently been deceased on that boat or if there had been any blood on that boat. And according to the representative from the Cajun Navy, Ben Crump told him don't do it. So I need Ben Crump, respectfully, I'm not accusing him of nothing, Art, but I need Ben Crump to explain to me why you didn't let them use the dogs to sniff out that boat. Why did you not let them sniff out that boat with them dogs? Did you have your own dogs to sniff out the boat? Because if you didn't, why didn't you let them sniff the boat out with the dogs? The dogs can tell, Art, if somebody had recently lost their life or if blood had been spilled. He said Ben Crump told him no. I need Ben Crump to explain that. I need Sheriff John Ledbetter to explain why the boat wasn't treated as a crime scene, potential crime scene. I need him to explain why all them white kids wasn't arrested and questioned, because if it was black kids and a white kid went missing, Art, they would have all been arrested and questioned. You know that.
And let me pose this question while he said that. Have Ben Crump, Al Sharpton has been pushing for the arrest for the friends, or being persistent because he have mentioned that they're going to try, I'm paraphrasing now, to get all of their phones dumped. He mentioned that the first time when they did that press conference, when they were standing outside, him, Ben Crump, the family, and it was another white guy, was in the daytime. That was the first initial press conference, and he said it then. Are they pushing for that? Are they putting up any evidence to even show that their phones definitely needs to be dumped? I don't see that. I'm not saying that they're not working in the background, but it's a lot of things that Ben Crump has not said, far as a lot of the information that has been put out there. And I know you got to sift or vent out a lot of the information people is presenting to them and making videos about. And you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot they got to go through. I understand that. But, you know, just like any other investigation, police take every tip seriously and they have to invest all of the tips. So why nobody's not investigating all of these tips? I don't know, but let's continue, man.
They would have all been arrested
I
and
make sense.
questioned. And then let's talk about the autopsy, Art. Let's talk about the autopsy. So the Mississippi State Medical Examiner, they do their autopsy July 7th, right? July 7th. And then Nolan's mother requested an independent autopsy, as she should have. They send Nolan's body to Washington, D.C. When the black medical examiner gets the Nolan's corpse, Art, the throat tissue and the lung tissue is gone. How is he supposed to determine if Nolan died from being choked out or if Nolan died from drowning if he don't have the throat tissue or the lung tissue, Art? How is he supposed to do his job and y'all didn't send the throat tissue or the lung tissue? And nobody has explained yet whether or not the medical examiner in D.C. is ever going to get the throat tissue or the lung tissue. And I personally believe, Art, I personally believe Nolan was deceased before he hit the water. I believe Nolan was deceased before he hit the water. And the reason they held on to the throat tissue and the reason they held on to the lung tissue is they didn't want nobody to know that Nolan was murdered before he hit that water. Just like Emmett Till was murdered before he hit that water. Just like Dr. King's brother, A.D. King, was murdered before he hit that water. Remember, Art, when Dr. King's brother was murdered, Reverend A.D. King, they found him in a swimming pool. They ruled it a drowning. And then one of the paramedics said what, Art? One of the paramedics who took Dr. King's brother out the pool, Art, said he didn't have no water in his lungs. The paramedic said he didn't have no water in his lungs, Art. And plus, A.D. King, just like Nolan, A.D. King, just like Nolan, was a great swimmer, Art. Was a great swimmer. They kept them lungs, I believe. They kept the lungs, Art, because they knew that those lungs would have provided evidence of the fact that Nolan may have been deceased before he hit that water. They kept the throat because it may have shown some trauma that Nolan may have gotten choked out. And then you got the red substance around the back of the head that the DC medical examiner discussed. We don't know if Nolan got hit in the back of the head. We don't know if the blood simply drained to the back of the head. But here's the thing, Art. They say Nolan was found face down in the water. Nolan was found face down in the water, Art. Not only that, Nolan was transported face down to Washington, D.C. So guess what, Art? I have my doubts as to whether or not the red, which is probably blood in the back of the head, the subcutaneous red area, Art, I don't think that has anything to do with the blood draining to the back. You want to know why? Because he was found floating on his face and he was sent to Washington, D.C. on his face. So the blood couldn't have went backwards, Art. I believe Nolan got hit in the back of the head, and it was that hit that cost him his life. It was that hit that cost him his life.
Well, when you from what I understand, when you do autopsies, they drain the blood, right? When they put them on that cold slab, there's like a drain, so they drain out all the blood. Am I telling the truth there? Because I remember that's how it happened. Do they keep some of the blood in there? But from what I understand, when they do an autopsy, they drain the blood out. But I digress.
It was that hit that cost him his life. Now, with that being said, Art, I want to go to Sister Tashima and Sister Christine going over to Warren's home, allegedly, to get Nolan's phone. So Sister Christine reported Nolan missing around 12:22 p.m. on the 4th. Sometime after that, her and Sister Tashima, Javon's mom, used Life 360, Art, and they tracked the phone to Warren's home. I believe it was Warren's home. Don't hold me to that. I believe it was, no, I think it was one over the friend's home, lady friend's home. I think Warren said they were swimming at a lady friend's home. Whoever house it was one of them kids who was out there on White Devil Horns Island. So they tracked the phone to this house, Art. And Sister Tashima said when they opened up the door, the house was dark. You know why the house was dark, Art? They turned the lights off so they wouldn't recognize nobody's face. When they saw Nolan's mom is outside, this is what I believe happened. This is what I'm going to let. Nolan's mother and Javon's mother are outside. How did they know where we are? Turn the lights off because they are not going to leave. But that is incorrect because the mother did not go. From what I remember, the mother did not go, but Tashima went. Until we open this door, they turned the lights off, Art, so they could hide. They didn't know that Nolan had Life 360 on that phone. They didn't know that Nolan had Life 360. Now, Sister Tashima said, Art, it took them 15 minutes to bring the phone. Art, she said it took them 15 minutes. You know why? Because they was deleting his Snapchat accounts. That's why, Art. It took them 15 minutes to bring the phone because they were deleting Nolan's Snapchat account. I'm going to play a little bit more, maybe the next 10. I don't think I want to play the whole thing because there's a few other things that I want to show y'all, and then we'll get up out of here. All right? Because there's other videos I haven't played yet. So I'm going to play probably like 10 minutes more, and then I get to some other videos. And they also on Nolan Wells needed to make sure they had their story straight in case Sister Christine and Sister Tashima had any more questions, Art. That's what was going on. But let me say this to Sister Christine and Sister Tashima. My beautiful African. Wait, hold on now. You said Cash App. Who Cash App you looking for, Tiffany? All right, well, let me know because I throw my shit up in there, goddammit. Okay? But let's continue, everybody. Freaking sisters, don't you ever again in your life go to a home at that time of night by yourself without no men. Brother Elmore should have been with y'all. You are in Mississippi. You don't know who would have been in that house. You don't know what type of racist rednecks could have came out there and attacked you guys, and y'all could have ended up missing just like Nolan. And once again, they would have said they never saw y'all. And once again, they would have said that they never saw y'all. So please don't do that again. I know you was looking. Thank you in advance, Tiffany. I appreciate it. Thank you in advance. Looking for your son. I know you was helping your girlfriend look for her son. But don't y'all ever pull up at no white people's house you don't know after midnight. Don't you do that no more, ladies. Bring a couple alpha males with you. Bring Brother Elmore with you next time. But this is what I wish they would have done, Art. Let me tell you what I wish they would have done. When Sister Tashima and Sister Christine got to that house, Art, I wish they would not have told them they knew the phone was in there. Stay with me, Art. I wish they would have not told them they knew the phone. They should have played it off, Art. They should have said, we want to know if anybody has seen Nolan. We haven't heard from him since he went with y'all to White Devil's Horn Island. And they would have said, we ain't heard from him, Art. And then I would have said, do you know if Nolan had his phone with him? I've been calling my son all day. He's not picking up. Do you know if he had his phone? And if they would have said no, Art, if they would have said, we don't know if he had his phone or not, you know what I would have done? I would have called the police and I would have told the police, Art, my son is missing. He went to White Devil's Horn Island with these white kids in his house. They have his phone. They don't know I know they have his phone. And they just lied to my face and told me that they don't know where the phone is, and the phone is right in there with them. I believe that they are suspects in my son's disappearance, and I want them all arrested. He made the reason why I'm playing this because he made some great points, and this is another one. This is a great fucking point. But I understand that I don't think anybody would have been thinking like that in the midst of trying to find your child. You understand what I'm saying? So by that
I don't even want to call it a mistake. I would say a natural, a common mistake. You know, she should have been like, you know what? Something seems fishy here. Let me just play it out. Because this would have been evidence that the police would have been forced to, even though it's still a lot of evidence now that they should be taking heed to and dumping their phone and getting warrants to basically have cadaver dogs sniff the damn boats and so on, look for decomp, or all of this stuff like that. But that is a beautiful point, man, especially if we would have known how if she would have done it and played it like that. Like we would have went more crazy far as making videos and putting pressure on them, because these kids lied, but they still lied because the fact remained the same that he did do that when he had his phone. It made them wait. And then the father had to go get the keys from the house he stayed at the night before. And they told me, well, we don't know where the phone at, but they found the damn keys on top of a fucking Xbox. There's a lot of probable causes here, but he made some great points. Let's continue. And Tiffany,
that's what I wish they would have
in advance. So I appreciate you.
Done, Art. I wish they didn't tell them they knew the phone was in there. I wish they would have act like they didn't know if the phone was in there and just asked them if they saw the phone. And once those white kids lied, I would have called the police, because they never thought anybody was coming for Nolan's phone and keys. They never thought anyone was coming for Nolan's phone and keys because they didn't know Sister Christine had Life 360 on that phone, Art. They did not know that. And I think it is so disrespectful, Art, so racist and so bigoted that white people are filing false reports on Sister Christine's nursing license, Art. She now got to go before the nursing board in Mississippi, Art. Nolan's mother, still grieving the death of her son, she got to go and defend her credentials because white folks are mad that she's demanding justice for her son. This sounds just like Mamie Till Mobley, Emmett Till's mother. They did the same thing to Emmett Till, Art. After they assassinated Emmett Till, they harassed his mother. They sent her all type of threatening phone calls, letters, notices. Here we are, Art. 61 years later, they doing the same thing to Nolan Wells' mom. For black people who think white people have changed, Art, it's time to wake up and smell the coffee. They are their ancestors, Art. They are their ancestors. They might be worse. They are their ancestors. And since they are their ancestors, we need to be our ancestors. Now, let's talk about...
I have to pause it there because we have to... That's the most important thing, because what he just said was beautiful. They are their ancestors. And when he said a little bit earlier that white people are racist. See, they would hear that like, come on, we're not racist. Come on. All of the excuses that they will make. But if it's on the flip side, you know, hold on. The point is, they don't want to take accountability for them being the offsprings of their forefathers. They don't want to see that mirror that's in their face. So these people, they little offsprings now, they trying to play it off as if we don't know who they are. And they judge us. I'm gonna land here. They judge us off of a crime and all of the stuff that we do to each other in our own neighborhoods, right? And that's only been a good 40-something years. Once crack hit, it got crazy. So we talking a good 40 plus. So we've been really, really turning up on each other for the past 40-something years, y'all. We talking historically, because we wasn't always like this. Even when it was when he had the dope back in the days, the Herman, niggas was leaning too much. Yeah, they was robbing so they could get their fix, but it was not when crack hit. When crack hit, that's what really affected Black people. And that's when crime and murder has been through the roof. And we know that. We're talking historically since the 80s. So we're talking 88 and up until right now. So they judge us off that. Y'all got a 400, fuck 400, longer than that. Y'all got a history. And you think we do not understand that y'all are the same fucking people? We cannot judge you off your history. They think their history has, like, they got a clean slate. Like they went to the court and got their record expunged or something. No, nigga, yet you have the longest track record on the planet. I am not going to trust you. I don't give a fuck. I will treat you accordingly. If you're nice, I'll be nice to you. If you open the door for me, coming out or going to the store or whatever, thank you. Or whatever the case may be, treat you accordingly. But nigga, you think you're talking about my people? I should be clutching my purse and holding my son when you walk by, or locking my car windows when you fucking crossing the street near my car. Y'all got the longest history. Let's keep it moving. Got that.
The infamous Cito call, Art. So again,
it's my ass.
Javon sees Nolan at 3:40. The coach sees Nolan between 2:30 and 3:30. Katie sees Nolan between 3 and 4:30. I already told you I believe Nolan was unalived between 3:30 and 4:30. Now, our sister, what was her name? Jacqueline Brentley or something. Jeanette Brentley, Jacqueline Brentley. Forgive me, sister, for mispronouncing your name. But our sister, who is an audio engineer, Art, she went through the laborious process of cleaning up the background conversation during the infamous Cito call. She cleaned up the background audio during the infamous Cito call, Art. And during the infamous Cito call, Art, according to her cleanup, it sounds like they were trying to clean up an unaliving of Nolan Wells. You hear people saying things like, is he still alive? Did you unalive him? Is he okay? People are shocked, asking questions. Is he still breathing? If that tape gets corroborated, all the white young folks on those 3 boats need to go to jail, Art. They need to be charged, all of them. Whether you committed the crime, whether you was an accomplice to the crime, whether you was an accessory to the crime. Whether you committed the crime, first-degree murder, whether you was an accomplice to the crime, you helped them carry it out, whether you was an accessory to the crime, you helped them plan it, or you helped them cover it up, Art, because I'm having problems. I'm having problems with this investigation. It is too lax. It is too soft. And my question to Ben Crump and Al Sharpton, how long before y'all going to demand that the federal Department of Justice take over the investigation, Art? As I was saying earlier, you can demand the feds to take over the investigation, Art, if there is concern about public corruption and obstruction of justice. One of the boys' mom or stepmom, and I think it's Warren, allegedly, one of the boys' mothers or stepmothers is a Chancery Court judge. Another one of the children's parents is allegedly tied to the FBI. So, Art, if their parents are tied up in the Mississippi state power structure, if these children's parents are tied up in the Mississippi state power structure, you know damn well Mississippi is not trying to find any of those kids guilty of anything. You know that. Mississippi does not have a history of helping Black people find justice against white people. That is not the history of Mississippi. It ain't the history of Arkansas. It ain't the history of Texas. It ain't the history of Louisiana. It ain't the history of South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, or none of those states. So why is it Ben Crump and Al Sharpton calling for a federal investigation? That's number one. Number two, Art, guess what? Horns Island is federal land. Horns Island is federal land, Art. If Horns Island is federal land, Art, why are we not demanding that the feds do the investigation and not Sheriff Ledbetter? The island is federal land, Art. It's federal land. Why aren't the feds carrying out the investigation? That's the second reason they should be involved. The third reason they should be involved, Art, is there's a strong likelihood that this was a federal hate crime and a lynching. very strong likelihood that this was Nolan Wells' death is very likely to have been a federal hate crime, and it is very likely to have been a federal lynching, meaning more than one person participated in the racially motivated crime. So I just gave you 3 reasons why the feds should be investigating this case and not the sheriff's office. Why is Ben Crump and Al Sharpton dragging their feet? Benjamin Crump, you need to have a street march. You need to bring all of the black militia groups to Mississippi, and we need to march on Mississippi. Your approach to this investigation is too humble, it is too docile, it is too meek, it is too soft. You are dealing with Mississippi, and you have not activated any street protests. Sister Christine and Brother Nolan are not going to get justice, Art. Sister Christine and Brother Nolan Wells are not going to get justice, Art, if Benjamin Crump doesn't activate a street activism campaign. It is time for Ben Crump and Al Sharpton to activate a street activism campaign. And let me say this, Art. Al Sharpton is about to have another march on Washington. For what? For what? He's going to commemorate the Dr. King 1963 March on Washington. He's been doing it almost every year. But Art, it's an empty symbol. Al Sharpton, listen to me, sir. You don't need to march on D.C. We don't need another empty, meaningless Democratic Party-sponsored march in Washington, D.C. We need you to switch that march, Art. Al Sharpton, if he cares about justice for Black Mississippi, if Al Sharpton cares about justice for Black Mississippi, Art, he will switch the march from D.C. to Mississippi. Al Sharpton needs to switch the march from Washington, D.C. to Mississippi. And it should be 4 days, Art. It should be 4 days, Art. We should march in Senatobia, Mississippi one day for Baby Cohen, who was shot and murdered by the police in the Walmart parking lot. We got to march for Baby Cohen, who was shot by the police in Senatobia. We have to march in Cleveland, Mississippi for our brother Trey Reed, who was unalived September 15th, 2025, hanging from a tree on Delta State University campus in Cleveland, Mississippi, September 15th, 2025. So we need to march in Cleveland, Mississippi. We need to march in Senatobia, Mississippi. We need to march in Jackson, Mississippi, because what just happened in Jackson on Monday, Art? A Black woman, 28, 29 years old, Tasia Fortune, was found hanging from a tree. Monday, Art, 4 days ago, a Black woman was found hanging from a tree in Jackson, Mississippi. And check this out, Art. They said her corpse, her body, had been hanging from the tree for 3 to 4 days, Art. 3 to 4 days, her body was hanging. It gets worse, Art. It gets worse. They said they had to use a ladder. They had to use a ladder to go up on the tree and get our sister Tasia down. And guess what the Mississippi State Medical Examiner ruled it, Art? Guess what she ruled it? The same thing she ruled Trey Reed's death as: suicide. Let me ask you a question, Art. How many Black people you know hang themselves from trees? I don't know no Black person who have ever taken their life by hanging themselves from a tree. In fact, it's almost impossible to hang yourself from a tree. In fact, Black people have been hung from trees by white people for over 200 years. So you mean to tell me the very method that has been used to take our lives at the hands of white people, we are now taking the method ourselves, Art. We are now taking the method ourselves, Art, and we're going to hang ourselves with a noose the same way white people used to hang our ancestors. Who does that make sense to? That don't make no damn sense. So now all of a sudden, when Black people want to take their life, we're going to go outside, get a noose, and hang ourselves suspended from a tree. That's nonsense. In the Mississippi State Medical Examiner, Art, every time a black person is found hanging in Mississippi, she wants to rule it a suicide. You know why, Art? If you rule it a suicide, you don't have to investigate. If you rule it a suicide, you can close the case and you don't have to investigate.
And you could burn the body and get a cremation. This is what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying not to be angry because I'm fuming. And they ruled it. I'm just finding out that they ruled it a suicide because I just talked about this story a few days ago, did a video on it. And I did the video and went to the actual street. So if they didn't find her in 3 to 4 days hanging behind that vacant yellow building, knowing that street is called Remembrance Road. That block is like, it got a few vacant buildings. It's a really small little town off the main little road there, or I don't want to call it highway, but whatever, main road. And as you could tell that it's dark. It's not too much movement. And you know, in the South, a lot of people really don't walk like that. So you have to do a lot of driving. And it's just like, it's crazy the shit that we still continue to go through. And they got people on the chessboard to do their dirty work and rule things like a suicide. Like Stacy, whatever her name is, the one that determined all of those lynchings and murders against our people as a suicide. And we supposed to just continue to sit there and take all of this abuse. And I said this before about our young children as grown men, as grown parents. You see, this is broadcasted all over the world. What do you think your children feel? Hold on, I'm gonna make this real simple and quick. How do you think your kids feel when they look at cases like this? No justice, no nothing. How you think that they looking at the grown men? Look what's happening to us, and they have no protection. We can't even protect them from shit like this. I can see if a motherfucker at least retaliate. Sit down and ask your child about all of these cases we talking about. Ask your teenage son, your teenage daughter. Speak to them about these crimes and really pick their brain and ask them how do they feel, because they see the same thing that we seeing. They digesting it the way we digesting it, but how do they feel? Because it can happen to them and they're young. Ma, who's going to protect me? Dad, who's going to protect me? You see that? So we've been at war for a very long time. That's why I speak the way I speak. Alpha all day. I don't want to put myself in that predicament. I'm just saying I will not be Elmore. I'm not going to be Elmore. Not saying, I'm just saying, I just pray to God. We need the dude that ran over the police. I forgot his name. The one that was in the courtroom. He was like this. That's going to be me. But I don't want to be in that predicament. Please, I don't want it to happen to anybody. But we at war, nigga. They are doing it with no emotion. And they got protection. They got the judge. They got the prosecutor. They got lawyers. They got attorneys. They got coroners. They got TMZ. Let's continue, man. Hold on. Let's continue. Lord.
So Ben Crump and Al Sharpton need to turn up the heat under Sheriff Ledbetter's office. They need to turn up the heat under District Attorney Moraf's office because they are dragging their feet. They are not taking this investigation seriously. It is too quiet We don't know anything. Sister Christine don't know anything after 30 days, and Ben Crump and Al Sharpton need to go to the streets. Since you like to march every year in Washington, D.C., Al Sharpton, why don't you bring your behind to Mississippi and march? We need to march in Senatobia. We need to march in Cleveland, Mississippi. We need to march in Jackson for Sister Tasia Fortune. And we need to march in Ocean Springs for Brother Nolan Wells. And check this out, Art. The Attorney General said they're going to keep the toxicology and the autopsy report under seal. They're going to keep the toxicology and the autopsy under seal, Art, until the grand jury gets to see it. A grand jury is going to decide whether or not anybody is going to get charged with a crime, Art. And I have a big problem with that, Art. That's what happened with Carmelo Anthony. That's what happened with Carmelo Anthony. A grand jury proceeding is a relatively secret process, Art. You don't even know who's on the grand jury, Art. You don't even know who's a group of secret white people. A group of secret white people are going to decide if any of those 30 white kids on those 3 boats should be charged with a crime in the death of Nolan Wells. And we won't even know who they are, and we won't even know how they came to their decision, Art. We won't even know who the grand jury is, and we won't even know how the grand jury came to their decision.
Do y'all trust this system? Do y'all trust this whole process? I said this from a week or 2 after this case and during. If you notice the pattern and you notice no justice, no information coming from their behalf, what does that tell you? And especially about this grand jury, what does it tell you? The shit is written in our face. The writing is on the wall, family. And I'm going to say it. He is not going to get any justice. But the biggest question is, what niggas is going to do about it?
What is Ben Crump ready to do? What is Al Sharpton ready to do if the grand jury returns no indictments on anybody at all for the death of Nolan Wells? Will Benjamin Crump be ready to march then, Art? Will Al Sharpton be ready to march in Mississippi then? If the grand jury says this was an accidental drowning, case is closed, no indictments, what is Ben Crump and Al Sharpton going to do? Because right now, and I respect them both, Art, but right now, the way this case is being handled, they are too docile, they are too meek, they are too humble, and they are too soft. We need some street action. We need some street protests. We need some street marches. We need to raise up the temperature in Mississippi, Art.
And if these motherfuckers, hopefully there are charges that's going to be presented to the so-called friends. If it's case closed and the only thing that Ben Crump and Al Sharpton is going to do is to do a march after the fact, they should get their ass kicked, beat, and thrown. I'm not even going to say all that because I was going to say something very bad, because you know that they are milking the system. These people are getting paid. You know that, right? They're getting paid. So they're going to milk it as much as possible, but have to thank Ben Crump for putting this to the forefront. But he is not a criminal lawyer. There's so much that he can do. A compensatory outcome is what he's looking for. He said it in the interview. A compensatory action. And he cannot prosecute any of the so-called individuals or suspects. He cannot do that. Legally, he can't do that. So we could just thank her for just putting it in the forefront this case. That's all we can do. But they milking it.
What we need to do. This is the state that unalived Medgar Evers. This is the state that lynched Emmett Till. This is the state that took the life of Baby Cohen. This is the state that lynched Tasia Fortune. This is the state that lynched Trey Reed. This is Mississippi, the state that tried to lynch Fannie Lou Hamer. The state that tried to lynch Ida B. Wells. When are we going to wake up and smell the coffee? Now, let's get to the infamous call, Art, and I'm going to wrap this up. Let me get to the infamous call, and I'm going to wrap this up. They called the Cito company at 4 o'clock. We already talked about the background noise that the audio engineer, our beautiful black sister, Jeanette Brentley, cleaned up. Sounds very suspicious, Art. It sounds like they may have been in the act of unaliving Nolan Wells when they made the call. It sounds like they may have been in the act of unaliving Nolan Wells when they made the call, Art. Allegedly. And guess what, Art? That would make perfect sense. You want to know why? Because the call was bogus. Nothing was wrong with that shit. This is my allegations. This is my belief and my allegations, and I'm standing on it. Nothing was wrong with the boat, Art, and I'm going to explain to you how we know this. Nothing was wrong with that boat. They made that call because they needed an alibi, Art. They needed an alibi. So if Nolan Wells, when Nolan's body was found, Art, if they were able to determine the time of death, when Nolan's body was found, and if they were able to determine the time of death, they say, wait a minute. Nolan was unalived at 4 o'clock. Guess what, Art? They could say our boat was sinking at 4 o'clock and we was on the phone with Cito. The phone call was an alibi, Art. The phone call was a decoy. The phone call was a bait and switch. There was nothing wrong with that boat, Art. So listen, we know that Mississippi is going to find all the audio engineers they can find, Art. We know that Mississippi is going to find all the audio engineers that they can find, Art, to try to say that the background noise cannot be corroborated or verified. You know they're going to say that. They're going to say we can't use the background noise. It's too much going on. We don't care what Sister Jeanette Brantley had to say. We don't care what y'all conspiracy theorists got to say. We had our own FBI audio engineers listen to it, and they can't make out the conversation. I believe it says what Sister Jeanette Brantley says it says. I believe it, Art. It makes perfect sense. They called at the time that they were unaliving him to have an alibi and an excuse. But guess what, Art? Even if they throw out the background noise, I believe we still have probable cause to arrest all 30 of those white kids. And I'm going to tell you why, Art. Let's listen to the conversation, Art. Let's listen to the conversation. He calls the operator on Cito. The operator says, how can I help you? And I'm paraphrasing. He says, our boat is sinking and we need a tow. She says, how much water are you in? He says, we're in 17 feet of water. No. We in 31 feet of water. Art, there's a big difference between 17 and 31. There's a big difference between 17 and 31. Why don't you know if you are in roughly 17 feet of water? And why don't you know if you are in roughly 31 feet of water? You are on the boat all the time. This is what they do, Art. They boat all the time. They go to Horn Island all the time. Why don't you know if you're in 17 foot of water or 31 foot of water? 31 foot of water. But Art, it gets better than this, Art. It gets better. The Cito operator, Art, says, do you want me to call the Coast Guard? Do you want me to call the Coast Guard? Guess what he said? We don't need the Coast Guard. Art, if your boat is sinking, do you care who comes to rescue you? If your boat is sinking, if I'm sinking in 31 feet of water, you could call the Coast Guard, you could call the aliens, you could call the Snow Bunny boat, you could call whoever you want to call if my boat is sinking. He told the operator, we don't need the Coast Guard. Who does that, Art? Who says we don't need the Coast Guard if we sinking? So she says, okay. She says, how many adults are on the boat? Pay attention to this, Art. We caught him in another lie. Listen to this. She says, how many adults are on the boat? He said, quote, there are no adults on the boat. He lied, Art. Second lie. First lie, he said, Nolan said, I'm staying behind to hang out with Katie. Y'all can leave me. Katie said Nolan told her, I'm headed back to the boat because my friend's about to leave. That was lie number one. That was lie number one. You lied and said Nolan said he was going to stay behind with Katie. That was a lie. Lie number two, the CETO operator asked you, how many adults are on the boat? He said there are no adults on the boat, Art. Why did he lie? Why did he lie? She said, how many people on the boat? He said, everybody on the boat is under 21. Art, she said, that was not my question. Art, she begged him to tell her how many people are on the boat. She said, that's not my question. How many people are on the boat? She said, is anybody breathing on the boat? He said, a lot of people breathing on the boat. She said, is there anybody living on the boat? He said, yes, people are alive on the boat. Art, I would like to investigate her. She didn't do no crime. I want to know what made that operator say, is anybody breathing on the boat? What made her say, is anybody alive on the boat, Art? What did she hear in the background? What did that operator hear in the background to make her ask him, is anybody breathing on the boat? That don't sound like a regular question. And then she said, is anybody living on the boat? It's almost like she could feel something was going on. I would love to know if those were standard questions, Art. I would love to know if those were standard questions or if she had a hunch that something fishy was going on. Now check this out, Art. She asked him a third or fourth time. He would not answer the question, Art. He would not answer the question. How many people are on the boat? Guess what he said, Art? Like 7. Like 7. Art, the boat only holds 8. They went out there that morning with 8. 7 Caucasians and Nolan. 7 Caucasians and Nolan. Art, they left with 7, right? When she said how many people on the boat, Art, why did he say like 7? Why didn't he say 7? It's only 7 people. Why couldn't he say 7? Why did he say like 7? You know why he said like 7, Art? Because he didn't know if Nolan was still alive or not. He didn't know if Nolan was still alive or not. So let me say like 7 in case he survives. Because Art, if you call me up and say, Dr. Umar, how many people at the basketball game? I can't count them all, Art. I'm going to say like 100. It's like 100. Because I don't know. It could be a little less than 100. It could be a little more than 100. I'm going to say it's like 100. But Art, if there's only 7 people on the boat, I don't need to say like 7. I could just say 7. He didn't want to give her a direct answer. Why didn't he want to give her a direct answer, Art? Because he knows it should have been 8 people on that boat. He knows it should have been 8 people on that boat. So he said like 7 because he didn't want to say 7 so nobody can ask him where the hell was Nolan. Nolan's life was taken between 3:30 and 4:30, and they know exactly how and who. They know exactly how and who, Art. And they took the phone and the keys to get rid of any evidence. They took the phone and the keys to get rid of any evidence. And if Sister Christine and Sister Tashima didn't go to that girl's house to get that phone, they would have discarded it, Art.
This just came to my brain, and maybe somebody already mentioned this, but why would his phone and his keys be in 2 different apartments? Right? Why would somebody take his phone and bring it back to the apartment where he spent the night at, and his phone be at I think it was Warren House or whatever? Why the phone was in 2 different places? Because Tashima went to pick up the phone and the father went to pick up the keys. Why in 2 different places? Why wouldn't both of them be with the same person? Follow me?
They were going to discard the keys in the phone and act like they never even had them either. Now, I want to give you this one piece, Art, and I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to give you this one piece, Art, and I'm going to leave it alone. As I said, I'm very disappointed in the fact that Sheriff Ledbetter and District Attorney Morath are not investigating all 30 of those children. I'm disappointed that all 3 boats were not treated like a crime scene. Now, my primary theory, they unalived him on the boat, threw him over to make it look like a drowning. They unalived him on the boat or on land before they took off, threw him in the water to make it look like a drowning. But I'm going to say this to you, Art. I have another theory as well. I got 2 theories. That's my first theory. Let me give you my second theory and we're done on this. There's a strong chance, Art, that after they unalived Nolan, they held onto the body overnight and dumped it the next day, Art. Or they took the body to one of the other islands around Horn Island and dumped the body. And let me tell you why I believe this, Art. Let's go back to Emmett Till. Let's go to Emmett Till, Art. Emmett Till was unalived on August 28th. They barbed wired Emmett Till to a 75-pound cotton gin, 1955. August 28th, 1955, Emmett Till was unalived, and they barbed wired him to a 75-pound cotton gin and threw him in the Tallahatchie River. The Tallahatchie River, Art, is a freshwater river. Horn Island is on the Gulf of Mexico. It's salt water. Salt water is rougher and more active and more buoyant than freshwater, Art. Follow me on this. Emmett Till got thrown in the Tallahatchie, barbed wired to a 75-pound cotton gin, Art, and his body made it up to the surface on August the 31st. Even though he was tied to a 75-pound cotton gin in a river, his body floated up to the surface in 3 days, Art. Emmett Till was 14. Nolan Wells is 18. If Nolan Wells was unalived and dumped immediately on July 4th, Art, we should have saw his body on July 5th. If Emmett Till's body can make it to the top in 3 days, tied to a cotton gin, Art, why did Nolan Wells' body only surface the morning of July 6th? I think there is a strong possibility they held onto his body, Art, because they were afraid that if they dumped it immediately, it would surface too soon. If they dumped Nolan's body too soon, it would have surfaced before they were ready. That body could have floated back, Art, before they made it back home. They all go to jail. They could have held onto his body, Art, and dumped it on July 5th or dumped it the morning of July 6th. Because according to science, Art, Nolan's body should not have surfaced for 3 days. Or, according to what happened to Emmett Till, it should have surfaced within a day. The fact that it took Nolan Wells' body 41 hours before we saw it, I think that body might have gotten dumped, Art. I think they might have held onto Nolan Wells' body and dumped it a day or two later. And that's why the other 2 boats are important to the investigation, Art. How do we know Nolan wasn't unalived on one boat and held on the second boat? How do we know that? How do we know a second boat didn't take Nolan Wells' corpse to one of them other islands and then the body floated back, Art? Why are we not investigating all 3 boats and all 30 white children? Art, I'm going to tell you like this. For that boy to not tell that CETO operator how many people was on that boat, and she asked him 3 times, and the fact he lied and said there was no adults, and then he still didn't answer her question and said everybody under 21, and she had to repeatedly say that was not my question. Why are you unwilling to tell her it's only 7 people and not 8 people? Last thing I'm going to say, Art, shout out to Tyler Perry, Terrell Owens, Colin Kaepernick for helping to pay for the funerals, autopsy, as well as reward money for information leading to an arrest. But guess what, Art? That reward money needs to be more than $175,000. Mississippi is the poorest state in America. 1 in 4 people live in poverty. We need that reward money, Art, to go up to $1 million. I need LeBron James, Rihanna, Tiger Woods, Venus, Serena, Kanye, Get that reward money up to $1 million, Art. We need the reward money up to $1 million so those white folks will start talking. 175,000, Art, is not enough money. We need $1 million. Guess how they found the 3 civil rights workers in Philadelphia, Mississippi in 1964, Art? Remember the Ku Klux Klan murdered those 3 workers? Cheney, Goodman, and Swerner, Mississippi burning. Guess how they found out? An undercover FBI agent tipped off the FBI to where those 3 bodies were buried. Do the FBI have any undercover officers operating in this case? Does the state of Mississippi Bureau of Investigation have any undercover officers operating in this case? We need some undercover agents to weave into the lives of these young people and find out exactly what happened to Nolan Wells. And that's why Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton need to demand a federal takeover of this investigation immediately.
Crazy work. And I really wasn't going to play the whole thing. But before I get into a few videos, because we've been here for a while, I give it a good half an hour. Now, I was looking for a video and I couldn't find it, but I looked it up, right? So you remember on the audio when he was saying unplug the boat, some shit like that, but the bilge pipe was like it was flooded in there, right? So it says never unplug the transom drain plug while your boat is floating in the water, regardless of how deep the water is. The depth of water outside does not matter. If you remove the plug while afloat, external water will rush through the drain hole and flood your hull, Hull, which can sink your 22-foot Triton boat. In the water, the plug must always be tightly installed and secured. Out the water, the plug should be removed only. Hold on, damn, this thing just popped up and I hit it by mistake. The plug should be removed only when the boat is on a trailer, only on dry rack or stored high and dry, and let the bilge drain. If you have water in the bulge, what Warren was saying, it says rely entirely on your electric or manual bulge pumps to pump the water out while you are on the water. So just by doing that, by telling him to remove the plug makes no sense, but he had to be murdered on another boat to be put on Bart's boat. But I want y'all to listen to this case real quick, and then I'm gonna play some videos far as this case. I want you to let me know, does this sound familiar? Matter of fact, let me remove that. Does this sound familiar? Take a listen.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
I'm out hunting, and I don't know what just happened. My buddy's he just got shot. Malachi.
Okay, all right. Where are you?
Dude, he's dead.
Really quick, for those of you that don't know, this is the story of Malachi Lancaster,
just
the
listen.
18-year-old who was assumably shot in a hunting accident by his own rifle. Here's the reason that I think that there is some type of injustice, corruption, cover-up going on with this case. Listen.
All right, and tell me exactly what happened. You said you were out there hunting?
We're walking back to the truck. His gun, I don't know what happened. My gun is not fired. I don't know what happened. I don't know where his gun is. Oh, okay. My God. My gun.
And this was your friend that...
As you just heard with the 911 call associated with this case, the witness told the dispatch that he did not know where Malachi's weapon was, which I find it strange. If he shot himself, you claim that as soon as you heard the shot, you ducked, turned around, and saw Malachi fall. I would think that his weapon would be near his body.
What's even stranger to me about this call specifically is that the witness went from not knowing where the weapon was to knowing exactly where the weapon was within seconds of the same call.
Right.
And where is his gun?
It's in the bushes.
Okay.
I don't know if it's fired or not. My gun is not fired.
Other reports associated with this case confirmed what the witness stated, that the weapon that Malachi had was within a bush. What I find interesting is how far away the weapon was from Malachi's body. Reports state that the weapon was 15 feet or so away from where Malachi lied, which again is interesting to me because I would think that if he shot himself, the weapon would be nearest him. But something else really interesting happens in these reports. Look, later during Detective Bing's supplement, you see that he stated that the weapon was now near the body. To him, the location of the body, the pooling of the blood, and the location of the weapon being nearest him made sense. So was the weapon in a bush 10 to 15 feet away, or was the weapon in a bush right next to him? Who moved the gun and why?
Now, there's another video where she did an update on it. I'm pretty sure, that I think he was murdered in Mississippi, if I'm not mistaken. Y'all give me the right state. But he was going hunting with some white friends. Then over something, they said that he was up on something, like on a tree or whatever, and he fell, and the rifle went off and basically unalived himself. You see how she did this video? I'm gonna play one more video because she got backlash, and we'll get back to Nolan Wells. I'm just giving examples on. That's why I be trying to tell my son, you're fucking hard-headed. But hey, these are examples.
People were gonna argue the fact, and so I did my homework. I did actually go to the gun shop, my local gun shop. I found a similar weapon. And although it is not the Savage Access 6.5 Creedmoor that Malachi had, it is a Savage Access that has been confirmed to require the same amount of pressure that weapon needed to be able to, for that trigger to be pulled. And to me, that was the important factor. I personally have never shot a rifle before. I did not realize how much pressure was needed to pull the trigger of that kind of weapon. And when I put my finger around that trigger, it became evident to me that a twig did not do this. Damn sure not the twig illustrated in the video. I'm sorry, not in the video, in the evidence of the photo of the weapon at the crime scene.
Okay. Unload, show clear, no magazine, safety off. It's about 5 pounds.
And I think that's what it says online.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind if I try with you holding it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Whoa. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Additionally, I also have the actual public reports. And what's important about this is the report and the testing from the actual police. After they fired the weapon, they also noted how much pressure was needed in order to pull the trigger. And that amount of pressure is listed within the report. And that is consistent with what's required in the public information associated with the weapon. This is critical because I've seen some of y'all.
Oh, if anybody want to jump on the panel, press 1. I put the links in there, so it's a free for all. Everybody, if anybody want to jump on, just press 1, and I throw the link in there. But for those who don't know who this lady is, this is the wife of Janetta Brantley. This is Ashley Brantley, the professional audio engineer that enhanced the CTO call. So this is her wife.
I'll say, well, it could have been altered or modified. It was not altered. It was not modified, and the weapon did not fail. The police found that the weapon operated and functioned in the way that it should. 5 pounds of pressure, roughly, is what was needed in order to pull the trigger for that weapon. Look at the reports that I'm showing you. Go and research it. When you research it, the amount of pressure needed in order to pull the trigger is public information. It's associated with the information and the details listed with the gun. You will find these numbers consistent.
We got to be very careful. Malachi Lancaster, another one that was murdered. Okay? And you see how they trying to cover it up as usual. Now, let me remove this. Now, I want to play this real quick. Just bear with me. And please share. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate y'all. Please make sure you hit that like button if you haven't, man. Hit that like button, y'all. All right. I want to play this. This is a former investigator, and he just did this video some hours ago today, proving that the authorities in this Nolan Wells case, I didn't hear this whole thing at all. So I like to do live reactions. But he breaks down how they made a huge mistake in the Nolan Wells case. All right, here we go.
The Nolan Wells case, let me tell you, as a former head county prosecutor and a former assistant prosecutor that did homicide work, where I think the prosecutor, Angel Myers McGrath, is making a huge mistake. So, look, everyone's going crazy here. I disagree with her approach to media relations and educating the public. Now, I get when she said that she was protecting the integrity of the investigation. I've done that myself. But I had very strong relationships with the minority community. And when we had police-involved minority shootings, they were first people that I met with and gave me the distance and breathing room to conduct the investigation without any fanfare, people in front of the cameras, marching in the streets, etc. That obviously that trust has not been established in, from what I'm seeing in the comments and the millions of views that I'm getting on my videos, a great degree of distrust in Mississippi. And you have to address that as a public official. It's a very real thing. Whether it's truthful or not, you need to address it. So here's my thing. You're not compromising an investigation by getting up and combating misinformation in the public, number one. How many search warrants have been issued? I wrote a list here. What electronic data has been done? What communication data?
Now, I ask myself this same question. Why come search warrants haven't went out? How come they haven't released that they have reviewed all the audios and the videos? This guy is breaking it down, what they should be doing, but it seems like they ain't doing nothing. That's what it seemed like to me. Allegedly, they seem like they ain't doing nothing because they don't care. Because it's an African-American that's dead.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I'm listening to the voice because it's my first time hearing it. It sounds like she smoked Newport 100s and drink Coronas and shit like that with MD 2020, man. Salute to you, Therese.
We don't know what happened to him. We trying to find out what happened to him. So let's continue.
Have gone out. How many? I'm not asking you for what and what you're looking for, but just give us an idea of what you're doing that way. Have you gone to the courts for those search warrants? How many witness interviews have occurred? How many tips and leads have you received? Because I'm going to imagine it's been an amazing amount. And the public doesn't know that. You have to run all those leads down. What experts have been called in? Maybe what area? Is it forensics, toxicology, audio, video? These would all be important things. You're not giving away any information by telling.
Did you hear him call it out? Audio, witnesses? We don't know what they're doing. It don't seem like they're doing anything. That would have seemed like to me and the public. You know, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one thinking the same thing. But let's continue.
The public, what it is you're doing that
Almost
way.
done.
How many photos and videos have you had to review? Because I imagine people are submitting stuff all over the place, and it takes a lot of time to go through that digital record, authenticate it, and see if there's anything of evidentiary value.
Cool.
How about satellite imagery or any other cooperating agencies? And who are they? That may be useful to know. Oh, you're really being serious. You're bringing in other law enforcement agencies. How many law enforcement assets are you have out there? How many people? How many man hours? You know, you need to do a press conference at the end of all this and lay it all out. While the grand jury is a secret proceeding, and I get that people aren't entitled to that because it protects the innocent, and that's what a grand jury is supposed to do and be secret, doesn't mean you can't do a press conference. I did it in high-profile, racially involved cases where I went out and said, here's a 2-hour press conference to tell you everything we did, how we did it, and why we came to the conclusions we came to. But well before that, Madam District Attorney, I would get out there and make sure you're with the community and letting the community leaders know so they can support you that you're doing the right thing. Right now, we're all out here and we just don't know. It looks like nothing's going on. I know that's not true. Correct the record. Like, share, and follow for more.
But it's crazy. They're not doing anything, but they got we got Warren and who else is that? Jax, hold on, I got it written right here. It was Jax, Warren, Jax, and Morgan Seymour with Tyler Cox and Edward Pillax, however you want to announce his name, which was Trump's former attorney at one point. They on an island. Even Coon, Mr. Coon, motherfucking officer Uncle Ruckus, he's on the island. He did a video early today. I didn't save it, but I seen it. It was real short. But Brandon Tatum, he went back there to the island again earlier today. It did a video. I really don't like him at all. But that's how far as they going with. Where's the police? Where's anybody else doing or showing us that they're doing their job? Their attorney went back to the island. So what kind of shit that they brewing up? What kind of lie that they trying to spew now? How is it Nolan's body was literally found exactly where they was docked at? Where their fucking boat, the Triton and the what's the other shit? Forgot the names right now. But all of those fucking boats that was there. Warren's boat, Triton, Bart, all of them. How his body just happened to end up literally exactly where they always, and you know what's crazy? When they go to that island, they always go to the western part of the island. So they normally go exactly there. How ironic the body just happened to just float onto the island where they normally parked at and where they departed from 2 days prior, which was the 4th. Anyway, we got a couple more. We got a few more. Let's go here because we got a lot more. I'm gonna try to make this quick as possible. But check it out. You said Dr. Umar is on it. Oh, I do say N on it.
That's the island. That is how long it is. It is pretty long, guys. That's the west end, or that's the east end.
Absolutely.
And then over here is going to be.
And the fact that they did an interview. I'm just responding to this comment. The fact that Warren and Tristan sat on the couch with this dude Tatum, it lets you know. That lets you know everything you need to know. I don't even need to go no further than that. Just by them sitting on that couch with him, it tells you everything you need to know in their mindset.
The west end, and this is the washing machine that they're talking about.
Damn it, Bart. Exactly.
Water is pretty choppy today, but that is the island. There's some houses right there. The next place I'm going to take you to is over by Lover's Lane, so you guys can see how much housing and stores are over there that have possible footage. But yeah, let's get to the end of this pier. Wait a minute, you guys, there's fucking cameras on the fucking pavilion. And they can't even say they don't work because there's a fucking solar panel. Now I know you see me watching you, and I know you see me watching me. There's literally cameras everywhere out here, y'all. Every fucking where. Okay, so I have now made it to Old Fort Bayou Pier where they pulled in to a stop. This is an oyster house right here.
Remember, I showed y'all this last 2 weeks ago when I showed exactly where the camera's at.
And then next to it is the fireworks stand. Now, I don't see any cameras here, but let me get in my car and I'll show you where there is a camera because I'm too fat to walk. For reference.
Remember, I showed y'all that shit right there, the camera right there.
What's that? It's a camera, guys. With a light. What's this, guys? Where are you? Okay, we are now over here. So that is how far the oyster house is. I want to show you guys something. Look at that fancy house over there. Y'all see any cameras? I see lights. I wonder if there's a camera over there. I'll have to go on the other side of that bridge and see what's going on. Now where the ramp is, there is a drawbridge up there because this is a short bridge, so I'm sure there's cameras up there. They have to have cameras. I'm sure it's a state law. I'll have to look it up.
That's the Washington Avenue Bridge right there. There's cameras there. I showed y'all already. There's literal cameras on both sides right there and on this side. There's cameras. When you turn around and leave this area, there's only one way out from this area, and that's the other way. There's a fucking camera right there. They did not subpoena none of these damn traffic lights. They have not subpoenaed nothing for none of the cameras, no footage, not even Warren's house, which is where they departed from. They only show Nolan and them getting on the boat, but not the footage of them coming back. They have done nothing, like nothing. It's a clear cover up. Clearly.
Now, this is where they would have come in at. Look at these fancy houses over here.
There's cameras all over that fucking city.
Maybe them. Or maybe them. Interesting, right? All right, let's go look at some more. We're gonna walk on this side of the dock so you guys can get a better understanding of what we're looking at over here. Okay, we are on the other side of the dock, and I want you guys to take a look at this. That's a catfish house. They are definite cameras in there. Look at these houses. You can tell me none of these houses saw anything when they're next stop to Lover's Lane, which we're gonna point to you where Lover's Lane is. That, my friends, is Lover's Lane. And you're gonna tell me that I ain't questioned. None of them houses. By the way, that's a restaurant. That's a restaurant. So they have even better view. But they haven't questioned any of these motherfuckers who own these houses. Look at that. That's a historical home registered for the state of Mississippi. You know they have cameras.
I don't know what the fuck she's saying. Bring that back right there.
All right, we're gonna get back on Lover's Lane. I just had to.
But she skipped that whole thing. Like again, like I like to watch shit in real time, but she didn't even show exactly like where you leave from, where the harbor launch, the Bayou launch, Fort Bayou launch. When you leave there, that first traffic light, which is right there, when you pass the oyster place that has a camera with that bright light, and that fire place, that fire, whatever the fuck she said. Soon when you turn, you have to make that little slight left turn. There's a light literally right there, and the camera is right there. Why are they not showing any footage of them leaving and towing the boat from over there on July 4th? Come on, man. There's cameras everywhere, family. And I showed you damn near all the cameras 2 weeks ago.
All right, this is back on Lover's Lane. So this is where one of them home people live. I'm not sure if it was a male or female. One of their shops was here on Lover's Lane. You're gonna talk here.
But anyway, let's continue.
Right there.
Let's continue. I'm gonna run through these because I want to show a whole bunch, but I don't want to reach to 3 hours. All right.
Breaking news. That's why I think that Nolan Wells also bombshell adds to the mystery and why it's bombshell update.
Ooh,
so
Lord.
We have this new footage here of everything that's going on this Horn Island. Damn. And I was skimming through the video because this is the video right before the fight broke out with Tristan and the guy who Tristan said he got into it with. This is Tristan right here with the hat on, you guys, and he's about to get into the fight with whoever. I believe this was either Warren or Wyatt's little brother, one of their little brother who I heard that Tristan got into it with. So this is right when the fight was finna break out right here. But as I was skimming through this video, you guys, wait until you see what I find here. First of all, oh my God.
Look. And I want you to look how far they are from the actual island. It's like if you want to play football, we do it from like a football standpoint. It's like 40 yards. When y'all see him pan that damn camera, look at where everybody's at standing in the water and look where the beach is at. And your determination on how far you think they are at from here to the beach.
Looky here.
Bring it back a little bit.
This was either Warren or Wyatt's little brother, one of their little brother who I heard that Tristan got into it with. So this is right when the fight was finna break out right here.
Let's pause it right there, just real quick, and I will reset it and bring it back. Look how far they are from the motherfucking beach. That is at least 40 yards. Am I tripping? I can't be tripping. That's like probably 50 yards. How far y'all think that is? Because how far you go, he's still be in the water. So how did he drown? They killed him on the boat. And let me just say allegedly. And I got the list that they put out, the list of people that they suing and all that. I got the list and all that shit. And that's why it says allegedly on there anyway. It all say allegedly. So we don't really know who's on the list. But what's her name? The white lady, Kimbra, some shit like that. And Secret Service Sam and Nicole, everything put that out. Even though it says alleged. But how far do y'all think that the beach into them, how far is the distance? Do y'all know? It looks far enough. So he couldn't have drowned. Hold on, just thinking about it. So if he fucking drowned, if he drowned, and look how far they are, He had to be in 17-foot water or 31 feet. Y'all killed him on that boat. How did he drown? How did he drown? He just slipped and just because he was heavily intoxicated, he died. Ain't no fucking way. Look how they are from the fucking beach, man. It come on, man. This shit ain't rocket science. They killed the motherfucker on a boat. Look how far he from the goddamn, how he would have drowned. And you could stand up in it from 50 fucking yards. Get the fuck up out of here, man. Get the fuck up
on
out of
this
here.
Horn Island. And I was skimming through the video because this is the video right before the fight broke out with Tristan and the guy who Tristan said he got into it with. This is Tristan right here with the hat on, you guys, and he's about to get in.
Am I tripping? Because y'all ain't saying shit. Am I tripping as far as the distance is concerned? I know I'm not tripping.
To the fight with whoever. I believe this was either Warren or Wyatt's little brother. One of their little brother who I heard that Tristan got into it with. So this is right when the fight was finna break out right here. But as I was skimming through this video, you guys, wait until you see what I find here. First of all, oh my God. Looky here, right? And right now as we speak, I have just found Nolan. And you see Nolan, look, you know what's crazy, guys? This was Nolan right here with his glasses on the same day he took that picture on. Look what I see here, guys. I swear I did not see this at first until right now. Here's Nolan right here. Here's Nolan right here at this bottom of this boat, top of this boat, before the fight break out. There is Nolan. I don't know who that is. He is by. I wanted to show you guys something. We can all agree that is Nolan right there when this fight takes place. I believe someone said that this fight broke out at 5 p.m. Here we is seeing Nolan. If this is Nolan here, he is alive at 5 p.m. But it couldn't be 5 p.m. because we had that phone that was around 4:30ish when these guys was on the boat. So they're not even on the boat yet. So whoever said that the fight happened at 5 p.m., the fight did not happen at 5 p.m. Guess who else I see here? Let's zoom in on all these people. So far, we had a grown man right here drinking beer with these glasses on. That we can agree that is a grown adult. Here's one.
And just look how tall up this dude Warren looks. That's not drunk. He's on drugs, nigga. He definitely popped a Molly. Woo, he's sweating and took some coke. From what I was hearing, he was trying to get people to do coke and shit like that. Okay, come on, look how wasted he is. They probably did some. Yeah, they just killed him, man. Like jealousy. Bart definitely has something to do with it as well, too. All of them.
Warren right here, happy go lucky. Warren is
look at him.
The one Warren is he got his phone out in his hand too as well. I don't know who's videoing this video right here, but it's not Warren because somebody is still panning it around. Look who we see here, you guys. Tell me who is this at the bottom of this screen right here? None other than the Bart Simpson guy.
And I know a lot of y'all done seen this already. I haven't been on in a few days. So some of y'all already seen. It's always somebody who haven't. Thank you.
Bart Simpson, I found you in this video. You are asking somebody to hand you something off of this boat. I don't know who this is right here. Let's move that from up top. Guess who else is on this boat? This boat here. There is her with the bikini on. That is Katie and her friend. Katie and her friend is on the boat. What is this girl doing in the water? She have a water bottle or something. But we was looking for Nolan in this video. Guess what? I have found Nolan in this video. That is Nolan right there.
I know somebody seen them do him dirty because they are too far from the island for him to have drowned. Look how far they are. The boy is 6'1", man. 6'1". How? And he's a perfect swimmer. You could be drunk and you know what I mean, and still swim or whatever, depending on how far you are. Come on, man. Come on.
That
son.
is
They
Nolan,
killed
and
on
he
that
is
boat.
alive. Whatever time this is, that is Nolan with those glasses on. Look. You see Nolan with these glasses on?
All right, we get it. Let's go to me. I'm gonna play like 4 more because I really have a lot, but I don't want to be here too long. I'm already here too long any damn way.
Nolan Wells info drop. So first off, we remember these GPS coordinates that were plotted for us, remember? Those GPS coordinates were taken from Wyatt's boat and they were plugged into Google Earth, and they developed a PowerPoint slide that we saw there that mapped out all of the points. So I decided to overlay those Google points on top of the points of the research that I'd already been doing. I discovered some interesting stuff, because if they were just overlaying it on Google Earth, it should have been easy as cake, right? Well, I cannot tell you how many hours I spent trying to perfectly overlay this. Like, look at the islands in the middle here. I get them lined up and then other things won't match up. Like, you'll notice, like I said, these islands, look, they aren't moving, but everything else around it isn't working. So right away, my instincts are telling me that somebody manipulated this image to cover something up. Of course, that is alleged. I can't prove that, but, you know, it's supposed to just overlay. So honestly, I just did the best I could, and I mostly just focused on the top half, trying to get like the marina and the grandparents' house they went to all line up. So now we can really follow which way this boat was driving and the kind of stops it seemed to be making. And if you'll notice here, it goes right next to that marina that I was telling you guys about with the Marty McGrath, which is who, according to Katie, that she got a ride from. So they passed the marina, and as you can see, it juts out almost like it was pulling up to this dock. And then there's these 2 houses here, especially this house, where it seems like the boat pulled into the docks there. Then it went all the way down here. There's a little like lock area here, so you have to go through here. And it went to the bridge. And I was like, why did they go all the way to the bridge to turn around? But it turns out right here is a big old fishing pier. Then right next to that is the Ocean Springs Yacht Club. And a lot of these families are connected to the yacht club. But before I go on, I want to play a portion of this audio that's supposedly like a voicemail that has been going around. It hasn't been authenticated, but it has important information. Because I'll be honest, it sounds genuine to me and it works with my data. So hold on.
But he was like, oh, I'm just gonna go back with Katie. We'll be right behind y'all. We were all going to the same house, the same place. He was like, I'll be right behind y'all. Y'all go ahead without me. I'll see y'all at, like, I'm literally gonna be right behind y'all, whatever. Wyatt and all them left because they were like, okay, you're just gonna go with Katie, whatever. Well, then everybody got back in and we were all at Ava's house and
So first off, all of us were gonna go to the same place. I'm gonna go in with Katie, meaning Katie was supposed to be at that party with them. Or at least whoever Katie was with was supposed to be at that party, right? But that's not the important part. The important part is the name of the person who was throwing the party was Ava. Now, I found Ava. I'm not gonna put her name out there, but simple Google searches will find this information. And I was able to basically just Google her name and find her address. And so the party was actually right in this yellow area. Again, I'm not gonna be like pointing out people's houses, but I found it. After they leave this pier that's right next to the yacht club, they go all the way back and then they hook around and they go right next to where the party is. And then that's when they finally go and take the boat out of the water. Now it seems to me like they were dropping people off, like, because look how it goes in a little bit, almost like it was pulling into this pier at the marina, like I suspected. And they were just making the rounds, dropping people off before the party. Now her family and Wyatt's family, Warren's family, they're all connected. They're also part of the yacht club stuff. All of these rich families are super close, super connected. They're taking each other's kids on vacations, etc. Well, like just in May, there was a joint birthday party. In the background of this birthday party from the beginning of May, there's Warren's mom, there's his little brother, and right there in the background is the mayor of Ocean Springs, Bobby Cox. In fact, here's another picture of him from the party, just in case that profile view wasn't enough for you. Oh, and he was tagged in the picture. Oh, and remember Lieutenant Carone, the first person on the report that we see when Nolan's mom called him missing? Well, as it turns out, someone that he's related to, I can't pinpoint exactly how the relation is, but their maiden name is the same as his last name. Yeah, turns out they have the same last name as who? The girl whose party it was. And I have confirmed that that woman is mutual friends of the mother of the girl who threw the party. And I'm gonna go ahead and just wild guess theory. This is alleged, but I'm gonna go ahead and guess that the reason they waited so long to tell the mom was they were waiting to make sure that he was on shift. And this is why I'm thinking more and more that they brought Nolan back to the house. Everybody got their stories straight and stuff, and then they waited to tell Nolan's mom until he was going to be on his shift and taking that phone call. Which is probably why nobody was sent out to look for him that fucking night. That's why we don't have any footage of them going back to the grandparents' house up there. That's why no pictures from this supposed party ever came out. Y'all ready for today?
Crazy situation. I got a couple more. I got what the coach he did is he spoke out. But we know Bart was there, so but anyway. Let's go to this one.
Down because they don't want you to see what I have found. Katie has dry snitched, y'all. Here we see Katie's Snapchat where she's wearing a teal swimsuit and she's with a girl in a blue and white striped swimsuit. On this video of the 3 boats, you're going to see a girl in a blue and white striped swimsuit right here on Bart's boat. And right next to her with the same long wet hair is a girl in a teal swimsuit on Bart's boat. Make sure you have your brightness turned all the way up because here we have Katie in a teal swimsuit and look at her head. She is wearing a white hat. Oh look, the video of the boat getting towed. Teal swimsuit, white hat. And that's not all, folks. Again, turn your brightness all the way up because right here we've got somebody wearing red trunks. Oh, and look what we have here. Red trunks. And here's those same red trunks on the shore right after the fight with Tristan. Katie is claiming that she allegedly caught a ride home with somebody named Marty McGrath. It just so happens that a Marty McGrath is the co-owner of the Biloxi Bay RV Resort and Marina in St. Martin. Here it is, and my, that is a massive dock way out in the water. And would you look at that? It's right next to the grandparents' house. Now, in that report with the GPS coordinates, didn't they say that they went southwest towards St. Martin Bayou? Yeah, that's right, it did. And it also took them 45 minutes to get to that boat ramp over there. That only takes about 6 minutes on land. Like I said, they are trying to take down my page. Make sure you are following my backup here. But Katie, I want to say one thing to you. You're young, and I know you don't realize this yet, but these are not your friends. Be a hero. Do what's right. This is now my third.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I got a couple more, and it's a lot, but I'm gonna make it real short. So I'm gonna be here for the next 7 minutes, so it'll be 3 hours even. I seen this. I didn't really look at the whole thing, but let's listen to this guy.
He said, "Is this Nolan Wells?" On July 22nd. They then go confirm and say that it's not Nolan Wells. Hear me out. How the fuck did he drown? You see them guys in the background. They gotta be 5'7", 5'11", somewhere around there. So tell me how the fuck a 6'1" guy drowned. Oh, the currents was bad. I mean, even in this picture, they look pretty far out. Still, you can see the top half of the body. They are all standing. You telling me that current was bad? You telling me not one of these motherfuckers heard what happened, seen what happened, felt what happened? I mean, y'all so fucking close to each other. Why the fuck is every photo blurry? Literally every fucking photo. I mean, they allegedly had 4 boats. He said it himself. He also stated there was at least 15 phones on his boat. So there was about 15 of you motherfuckers. I don't give a fuck if it was an hour before he took missing. His body was apparently found in the same spot where he first took missing. I mean, if both of them are saying they didn't see him, then who the fuck lock them all up? Somebody's lying. I mean, come on. He was with someone. You just gonna say he drowned? What, into water? Treacherous. We couldn't even take a fucking photo. Well, look at this. Where the waves? No, seriously.
It doesn't appear, in my opinion.
When the ranger found him, they stated to Nancy Grace that he was fully clothed. And then want to backtrack after the fact and say, no, he was just wearing shorts. Waves was fucking crazy. Whoa. Where the fuck is the... No, seriously. Talking about this and who the fuck is he? You telling me you can't get your story straight to the... was wearing clothes. Okay.
But you see how much they changed the story. Rangers that did fight, and they not saying anything. You know what I'm saying? So, or revealing who that person is. I'm sure y'all seen this already.
Of Nolan Wells in Mississippi, and the very public social media link to one of our players, Bart Edmiston. At no time since July 4th has we been aware in as it comes that Bart Edmiston has been a suspect or currently is a suspect. We have no information that has ever linked him to this. Okay, and so that's where that's at. No further until the matter is the official investigation is completed. Bart doesn't have a defense attorney and never has had a defense attorney. His family does have a personal attorney, Russell Latino, who was retained to fight defamation issued against Bart and his family. Any other comment or questions that and Bart would be directed at Mr. Latino.
We know Bart was there. We know they're trying to protect his career. Those are bars. They're trying to protect his career. He has NFL aspirations. ESPN is sponsoring him. So for so on. The one I made the call, a missing call. Why was it you, Bart, instead of their best friends? This is why I know that they was murdered. Excuse me, he was murdered on a boat, and you took everybody else on your. Everybody seen what happened, and nobody's speaking up. All the people that's there, don't you know, man? If there's one or two black boys around the whole, they watching you the whole time, regardless of how cool you are, maybe a good old boy, but they eyes on you. Why themselves? How nobody seen anything, and we got these weak ass niggas from Mississippi. Him right here.
I got something I want to say. First, I was told not to go on your show. They warned me. Music business, they said do not do that show. He's going to try to make you look bad. He's going to lie on you, which is what he's trying to do. He's trying to discredit everything I said because I beat him on his own show. You can watch when he did Elf. That's when I knew I had him. I said, oh, Don coming for me. I knew he was going to try to attack my character. Bruh, the truth is this. Family than any other family Gulf Coast. No, Christina ain't the one that I'm close to, even though we know each other. Nolan's mom. I'm close to the relatives, the Wells. Me and my partner, we went to barber school together. I know his siblings. I want to call his name, but he probably don't want me to. Me and his other cousin, we get up and go eat, hang out. This past Sunday, we were supposed to hang out.
Exactly. This dude is a coon. I'm only going to play a little bit of this.
Shout out to Dix. And that's just the grizzly bear fact. And then how we know he ain't make that up? Talking about a member of the West in and said it does. don't know them like that. We all know what like that mean. It mean he do know them, but not like that. Nah, bruh. You sitting up on your show trying to talk about white people and like you so pro-black. And the truth is this. But isn't your spouse a white person? Don? I mean, bruh, I don't get it. And then here's what I don't understand. I'm hearing a lot of people say that I was talking like racism does not exist. But that is not what I said. I clearly said if y'all would take the time and hit a whole video and quit thinking so racist.
We heard the whole video, stupid.
Racism will always be with us. That's why Jesus Christ suffered, bled, and died on the cross for us.
Don't bring
for
Jesus
that very
into this.
Same thing. I said, but Mississippi, Emmett Till died in 1955 just for looking at a white woman.
I'm gonna end on this part.
Her. He died. These days, we are sleeping with the white women and making babies with the white women, and the white man making babies with the black woman. How is that the same Mississippi? That is two total different Mississippis. Point blank, period. Ain't no way to slice that, but straight down the middle. You come from looking and dying to now you able to sleep with them, touch all over them, and guess what? Ain't nobody dying.
But don't be wary of them. This is what I'm saying. These dudes they don't have no backbone, no spine. These dudes are spineless pieces of shit. I don't like docile, unmasculine niggas, man. Because these, like I said, that history in Mississippi has literally traumatized them to this day, and they need to wake up out that sunken place. It is 2026, bitch. They done did so much to us that shit made us stronger. Like what else could they do that they haven't done? So man, the fuck up, nigga. That's what I'm saying. Like our ancestors definitely passed for putting us, going through what they went through, but that don't mean that we don't carry the torch and protect this shit. They ain't get their ass beat for nothing. We ain't revolt for nothing. Like these people, I don't understand. This is why I say, and I'm gonna end right here because I had a lot more to show y'all, photos and all that shit. Been here too long, but I just end like this, man. At the end of the day, I don't think anything. I just see it. I ain't got no time to be wishful thinking. I pray for it, but I'm just letting y'all know, ain't nothing gonna happen. There's no justice. It's not gonna happen because the play is in our face. They have control of who they're gonna pick as a jury. Didn't they do that with Carmelo Anthony? And let's never forget about what's still happening to Carmelo Anthony. What makes you think they're not gonna? They did it in Texas, was the most racist state. You think they're not gonna do it in Mississippi with their fucking track record? So the play is playing out in our face. I will hope they will put charges on all these motherfuckers. But I doubt it. That's it. There's no more to be said. I just wish for the best. I've been here long enough. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please share if you haven't. Like the video if you haven't. And that's it, man. I had more to say, but I've been here too long and I'm getting tired now. But teach your kids, man. Talk to your kids. Try to warn them. Try to warn them. Because especially the ones that's like up north, like in the northern parts, because it's the same, but it's different. So it's more inclusion and let me be careful how I say this, because there's places in the South where they will beat your ass. They don't play with them white folks. So I know that. I'm not going there. I'm just saying the relationship between different races in the northern parts is different. They hide it more than down here. So it's just the relationship is just a tad bit different. You know what I mean? They're wearing a mask. You think what I'm saying? There's more of an interaction, and then they won't get away with a lot of shit. But they'll get away with a lot of shit down here because it's still, you know, I hope I'm explaining it right. Just for my son, he hanging out with a whole bunch of different people, which is fine. And the love or whatever, it may be genuine, but you have to understand something. What's happening right now is the same that used to happen to us back then, which is worse. So how can we still be living in the past with the same things that's happening right now in the future? So he's not processing that. So I'm at odds with my own little man by me trying to teach him love and just to understand. I'm not saying do not hang out with your friends, man. I'm just saying be very cautious, be on point. Know that 90% of communication is nonverbal. So you have to pay attention to mannerisms, how they treat you, with the things that they say. Just be alert and pick up on certain things, man. I'm the enemy. And I'm trying to teach you. If I didn't love you, you motherfucker, I would not be saying nothing. I love you, boy. I'm trying to teach you. And look at the examples where we coming from. Because this is not the past. This is 2026. It's still happening. So how was that not a great example to show you just to be wary of your friends? Just really analyze who you call your friends. I digress. Peace, man.